Hello, hello, hello. I am running very late. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the office hour stream. Let's get to the office, shall we? One advantage is I didn't have to change. Sorry I'm late, everybody. I did start streaming a little bit later because I was at a graduation. I was helping my kids graduate. It's my second round of kids who I've seen since they were freshmen to their seniors, so... How y'all doing? As I make a mess of water all over myself. Yeah, it was just graduation stuff. So, luckily, I dressed for graduation in my streaming attire. How y'all doing? Welcome. We might have some newer faces here because I was on a podcast with Level Cap, talking about lore. So I'm here. This is an AMA stream for those of you who haven't seen this before. If you're watching this after the fact, especially, this is a live stream that I do on Twitch and YouTube every Thursday, usually at about 9 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about Star Citizen development, but also the lore of Star Citizen and other things like that. So I've got COVID, but always got time to make time for Paul's live streams. Hey man, I'm glad. Hope you feel better. I can kick the hell out of you. I've heard that. Luckily, I've not had it myself, so. All right. Why was you late? Just wondering. As I said, I was at a graduation. It was supposed to end at about 9 p.m. Eastern, but it ended up being like 20, 30 minutes late. So, and then I had to drive home. So, it's just the start. Yes, it's an AMA. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about 3.17.1, what's to be expect from it, based off of what they've talked about and based off of what they have listed. And then at the end of it, we'll do our usual street reading of the entirety of the monthly report for Star Citizen, so you have a little bit of understanding. But if you have any questions about the game, about Star Citizen, lore, about any of that kind, you can always ask those questions. So, currently in game educating players about the Church of the Journey. Got a Sojourn on. Hey, buddy, I can't wait for the Church of the Journey to be more of a thing. I'm tempted of making one of my Zero to Hero characters a Sojourn. For those of you who don't know about the Church of the Journey, it is kind of more like a philosophy than a religion in the Star Citizen universe. But the idea is that the life is about the destination, is about the travel, not the destination. And the most ardent adherents to the Church of the Journey will effectively just keep bare bones stuff. Like they'll sell everything they own, except for maybe, some pairs of clothing and some bare essentials. And then they cannot work for anything. They cannot work for money. They can't have a job. They can't have a home, and they can't have a means of travel. Everything needs to be given up to the kindness of strangers. So, but it's always about traveling. So you always find a way, travel to travel. You see if you can get on. You never ask to be brought. Well, it's a little hazy on that one. You can't pay for travel in any way, shape, or form. Hey, Pedro. You just arrived bed, so now you can relax. Somebody legitimately said, oh, thank you so much, Nova Media. Or who is that? We had a hype train come through. I don't know why. Do we graduate today too? No, I didn't graduate, but I was walking. I was helping run the graduation, so I got to see a lot of my kids. Wait, they're space hobos? Sort of, because Sojourns also kind of preach to other people who are the Church of the Journey. They're kind of like preachers or monks, and they kind of organize events to go on journeys. The church people who participate in Church of the Journey at the beginning of every new year, depending on what planet they're on, they take a ceremonial first trip, and the whole like philosophy is about embracing travel, embracing the road, embracing the people you meet. SRV? Were you explaining Star Citizen lore to graduates? No, but I always make a deal to my kids is if they get to senior year and they make it to graduation and they want to know my stream handle, I'll let them know, because I tell them usually pretty early on that I stream. And when I do, they I don't know. I haven't really done that. Like, this is the second time it's happened, and I don't think many of them have stuck around. Oh, at the beginning of the year, I usually tell them that I stream, because it's more of like a way of saying, hey, I do this as a side thing. I enjoy it. That sort of stuff. And the generally speaking, most times the students just are like, tell us your name. What do you stream? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell you. But I didn't see a hype train at all. I saw, oh, someone did some biddies. Nova did some biddies. Said you were the, SC Stellar Eclipse said you were an authority on Star Citizen. I am, Nova. I feel like I am, but the only reason why I'm an authority is because I'm old. I've been around so fucking long. Yeah, one of the things you learn when you're a teacher is that trying to be as open as you can to your kids is important, but within reason. Obviously, you don't want to like dump your emotions on them, but you do want them to know that you're a person, that you do things, because the old belief that kids have of teachers sleeping and living inside the school, to kind of break that shell out and be like, I'm a person too. I have hobbies. I have things I do when I'm not here. It helps kind of make that connection. Can you grant a grant to the class on Star Citizen lore? I mean, some of the categories nowadays. Probably not. Hey, Drycon, how you doing? Hey, Sparky. Hey, I'm wondering, even with a minor hygiene upkeep in game, we've seen that ships have showers. So when it's time to use them, maybe with NPCs for either LOL, or the player at LOL, what do we see? So likely CIG has said they're going to try to stay away from an M rating as much as possible. So likely what they'll do is you won't get the benefits of a shower unless you're stripped down into your skivvies. And you'll probably either that, or there'll be a whole thing of shower where it will close the door and lock it. And you take a quick 2-second animation and then turn the shower head off and then open it up again, kind of thing. And a twist about the all-new illegal delivery missions was the RS-1 suits and Osonian hides we hauled just a joke to you, CIG? Exactly, Aimless. Exactly. Hey, Treesan. Yo, I saw a video in lore with Littlecap. It was nice. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad. I'm hoping that a lot of people say, I saw a lot of people being like, oh, well, this is going to blow you up, Paul. I was like, I don't really care about blowing up. I just want people to know about the lore because I'm passionate about it. I like doing it. And I think there's a lot of people who should be introduced to it, because I've said from the very beginning that lore is important because it's going to be one of the cornerstones of gameplay. Knowing which faction is friendly with which and why and who does what, it will help you out a lot. So knowing that, for instance, Ninetales doesn't exist outside of Stanton means you can probably be nice to Ninetales and not piss a lot of people outside of Stanton off, which is a good thing for lore game or for gameplay, because now you can play with Stanton, you can play with the Ninetales, and not have to worry about pissing off any other of your criminal friends in other systems. Story is always the most important thing. I sort of disagree, Pilot. I understand where you're coming from, but I think that story is important in the same way that it's a frame. It's the bedrock framing device. And because Star Citizen at its core is entirely entrenched in lore, it makes things make a little bit more sense. Like, for instance, Anvil. Anvil is headquartered in Terra. So if you're going to buy an Anvil ship for cheap, you'll probably go to Terra because that's where they build them. You know, if you want to get a job working with the Navy, try Killian. That's where they're headquartered. That sort of thing. Like little things like that will help out a lot because the game is so entrenched in that. Lore's important. You better hope If they make a Star Citizen movie, it isn't done by the people who did Halo, Star Wars, or Star Trek. Your Sword and Shields video is awesome. Every minute. I'm glad you enjoyed that. That was one with Tree0311. If you like that, check out the Pathfinders podcast. He does that with Naz every so often. So this is gonna be off topic, but why are they so quiet about Squadron 42? Do you think that the end of the year we could have a big surprise? Would be the 10-year Star Citizen anniversary. I don't think that CIG is going to be completely quiet about Squadron, but I doubt that we're going to see an announcement about Squadron until next year at the earliest. The reason why there's quiet about Squadron is, and we'll talk about this next week when we read the Squadron monthly report, is that it's not quite there yet. There are large portions of Squadron which are effectively finished. They're going back and reworking them here and there, but they're done. The problem is while they're working on those, or while they're getting those up to often what they'll state as vertical slice quality, there are many parts of Squadron which are still like without OCS implementation. And like there's some basic stuff. Like they haven't even started on certain levels of the game because they wanted to get other stuff done before they get to that. So generally speaking, if you're new to Star Citizen, Squadron 42 is the traditional game. It's much more like a traditional like Bethesda game or Halo or whatever. You'll hear about it years ahead of time. You'll get little glimpses here and there, but you won't really get a big kind of complete overview of what the game is going to be like until closer to the release, and then do a big marketing blitz and release it. Star Citizen is been open development since day one, and that's the whole process behind it. Hey, Silent Skip, how you doing? Yeah, polish. It's the campaign mode. Oh yeah, I have to do the June one. We'll have to figure that out. Watch many games fail because the things you don't matter. Either personal narrative, background lore, or mission flavor text. Story is always the most important thing. I would argue that story is important, but without good gameplay, story doesn't matter. Story and gameplay go hand in hand. They have to be the same, and story cannot be sacrificed for the sake of gameplay unless that gameplay is key. At the same time, gameplay can't be sacrificed because of story. They need to work together in coherency, because games which are heavy on story but not on gameplay tend to be very niche and can be very good, but they're usually not very. They just usually don't do very well. Whereas games that are heavy on gameplay and light on story tend to have the same problem. They tend to be very niche with not a lot of longevity to them usually. I find that any game that has a deep lore or story element to it tends to have a better chance at having longer legs. And if you can make a really fun game with a really good story or background history, like universe, then you've got yourself a winning ticket. And I think Star Citizen and Squadron 42 are heading down that road, which is why it's important. But at the end of the day, if the story doesn't make sense because, if this gameplay element is just really fucking cool and it's got to be added and the story's got to change, the story can change. Are Legionnaire pilots compelled to say "swing" when they unleash the talking probe, or is that a note? The troops are in white armor banned from running down the corridor? What? I don't get that. The giveaway bot's not running that giveaway. It's not ended. Oh yeah, I don't know if it's the. You're talking about the May giveaway? Yeah, I gotta reset that. It ended earlier this week. Timers. There's no giveaway time. Swing! Oh, I get it. I see it. Paul, do you think major plot of Squadron 42 will focus on Civil War type of conflict or Humanity and Van Duel? I know the entire story of Squadron 42. Because I'm an idiot. And I've spoiled myself multiple times by accident. Like 9 times out of 10. It's a long story, but there was a big leak of a bunch of audio files back in 2016, and I knew somebody who had access to a lot of those files, and I was looking for some specific Tessa Bannister audio from way back in 2.0 days to use for one of the audios. It's one of the audio cues, which is Bacon. And while we were looking through it, the problem is that CIG doesn't, the files aren't labeled like Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. They're numbered. And those numbers have different lengths of sizes. And so as we were looking through some of these files to try to find the
distress bacon.
that one, yeah. While we were looking through the files trying to find it, we discovered multiple Squadron files. And by the time we were finished finding the audio clip, we had listened to the entirety or the majority of Squadron 42, including Chris's narration. You can hear Chris in the background giving stuff. So I know the story, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody because I still want to play it even though I know the story.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Yes. Swing. I got it. Swing. If there's no pizza in Squadron 42, it's a flop. If we have double hot dog party at the ending of Squadron 42, it's a win for me, Paul. I think it's more plausible than we'll see Vanduul alien ship. Possibly. Usually, CIG wants to keep most of the Vanduul ships locked away for Squadron. But yeah, they have plenty more Vanduul ships to make for Squadron, and it's their focus. Yeah, but I don't think they want to sell them usually. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a Xi'an ship or a Banu ship. I doubt we'll get a Tavaran ship. Are those out there? The audio files? Yeah, they've been out there for years. Still waiting for my game of Kahoot. I can't get Kahoot to work. I can't get Kahoot to work, Tyler. It just doesn't work. And like, not unless you have a license, and even then you couldn't get a lot of people in it. I didn't know the Vanduul traded. They trade with the Banu, yeah. Look at the old Amiga games. Most of the best sellers had deep stories with deep mechanics for what they're capable of. Yeah. Wow, chat's actually using the sound bites responsibly. Don't say that. Don't say that. They're gonna break it. I'd love to see a Tavaran equivalent of a Cuddy freelancer. I would too, but I think if you look at it right now, the Banu have one ship released, the Xi'an have two ships released, and the Tavaran have two ships released. So having another Banu ship makes cowboy. Sense. Hey, Moon. In order to get pizza, we need server meshing. Critical. Absolutely critical.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
You had to open your mouth and say they're using it responsibly. Now they're gonna go through it. Sorry, dumb question. I just finished Cassandra's Tears and was wondering if we have multiple generations of Mezzers. Is Cal Mason from the comic the same as Squadron 42? Yes. Cal Mason from the comic is the same from Squadron 42. Cal Mason is a member of Squadron 42, and he actually has his own adventure series. Adventures with Cal Mason, I think is what it's called. But yeah, Cassandra's Tears is a fictional story in the universe of Star Citizen. People read them all the time, but he is an actual pilot in Squadron 42. He's not a generational pilot. He's literally the Cal Mason. Theory, Squadron 42 will only be playable on PU Gameception, possibly. You want a Gemini gun cheap for cheap? ArcCorp. Yeah, ArcCorp is where Gemini is where Gemini is headquartered. Let me fix the Gleam giveaway and change that up. Because it's ended. Paul X was telling me that he thinks we could see a large alien ship. Yeah, I know his theory. Because you usually get a small, medium, and large. And we only get a small and a medium. Because we've got a ground vehicle, and it's not even a medium, it's a small ship. But we'll see. All right, the May giveaway was a Cutlass Steel. Let's draw the winner. And the winner is... see their name. I'm gonna look at all their verifications so I know the name. Gosh, they really hammered the daily giveaway stuff. Their name is Freelancer. FR33 Lancer. Congratulations. I don't know if you're here. I know you're French, so I'm going to, and I know you're on the Discord as well, so I'm going to message you on Discord. They're called Space Marine on Twitch. I'm gonna get a new petition going. We're gonna give away that Scorpius we have. And that's going to end on June 30th it's going to be the June giveaway. Details, how to enter. Ah, thank you so much there, GR, for gifting those subs. And thank you, Offamon, for that Twitch Prime sub of 13 months. Vert for that Twitch Prime sub of 4 months. How do I win the ship? The last one was already drawn. You just gotta enter through Gleam is how you win that ship. But for this one, I'll update it here in a moment. It's RSI. How is Darianator doing? Darianator. Darianator is doing fine, last I heard. Copy. Prizes. All right, go on pictures, content creation, Galactic Historian, images. Where are you, RSI? RSI. Here we go. How much is the Scorpius? Is 250? Gotta put down a it was 240. Down.
Two words. Distress bacon.
Let's see the landing page and see what it looks like. All right. Fix this. Do. There we go. Boom. Should be updated now. Save. Got a level 3 headplate train going on. Thank you so much, Sylvesto, for that Twitch Prime sub to 7 months. Thank you, Hadrian, for watching this, man. And SFS Jingo, thank you so much for giving that sub to Martin Miggs. Y'all rock. That they're live. Couldn't make it out. How do you enter trip draw? So exclamation point June. I'll put it in the chat. I gotta find a chat for the YouTube as well because I don't have that. But here you go. Boom. There's the link for if you want to enter for the giveaway for the RSI Scorpius. You have to be following us here on Twitch and and subscribe to us here on YouTube. Both are absolutely free to do. And then you just got to do that through Gleam and you should be good to go. Hey, yeah, Astropub, what Pilot said, you coming? See you there? I'm definitely coming to the next one. The one that's on the 14th. That's the next one, right? I'm definitely going to that one, the 14th. That's a Sunday, so it's perfect for me. I'll just not stream that day or stream early. Thank you for that. Those strong starts for this month, y'all. For that, those subs and stuff. Yeah, I'll be there. Definitely be there. I look forward to being cornered by half of CIG Austin that tells me I'm wrong about something. It's happened more than once. 6 p.m. on the 14th, I believe. Yeah, that's a Sunday, whatever that Sunday is. 6 p.m. on the 12th. The 12th. The 14th. 6 p.m. Austin, the 12th. I will be there if you will be there as well. All right, let's take a look. Now that I got all the stuff out of the way, I don't have any minis to show because I've been busy with other things. But I do have. I got to finish up some my Tau, which I should be finished up tomorrow, at least one of them, which will be nice. Get that ethereal done, and then I've got a fire, not a fire warrior. I can't remember the name of it, and then another one. Do you think that we'll add a Xi'an and the Vandul ships, cap ships, or an Anvil cap ship? I mean, we'll definitely see a Xi'an capital ship, but I don't think we'll see human versions of the Xi'an capital ship. I think you'll have to capture them. Also, definitely not a Vandul capital ships. Are definitely going to be sold, not going to be sold. We'll definitely see an Anvil one. There's not much lore for the Redeemer other than it was born from a burning dumpster. There really is no Redeemer lore, which is why I just finished recording the audio for the exclusive Patreon Redeemer lore, which is a fan canon or fanon. My hopes, what I would do if I was in charge of the Redeemer lore, I'm going to put that on Patreon for y'all to enjoy. And then when the Redeemer actually gets some information or like a month or two passes, I will publish it for the rest of everybody else. And I'm gonna start doing that with Patreon, is that some of the Galactic Historian stuff will go there for extended periods of time and then come out to the rest of everybody. Wait, did you get the wrong lore for the Redeemer? There is no lore for the Redeemer. I want a Tavaran Jackal. I do want the Tavaran Jackal. The evil twin, or I guess the good twin of the Hurricane. Nah, we already have an archivist. She does a good job. I wouldn't mind working for them, but I wouldn't move to LA. I'd have to be in Austin, and I'd have to be at least paid the same amount I'm being paid now, which is difficult, especially without any experience in writing. Like, I don't have any published works that I can point to, really. The Astropub, do you think you could have the Vandul Redeemer in the Star Citizen lore? I mean, there'll probably be something like that. I compare the Redeemer to the Prowler. The Redeemer and the Prowler are effectively the same ship, just mirrored. One's Tavaran, one's human. But they have similar like purposes. They both have big honking guns on them. They're designed for infiltration, though the Redeemer is much more of a gunship than a dropship, and the Prowler is much more of a dropship than a gunship. Thoughts on when the Galactic Raylan or the Apoa Santokyai might show up? Not this year. I think post-Squadron. I presume it's an Aegis designer who walked out the back to smoke, saw a trash can, was like, yeah, I can make that ship, and then the joke went too far. So the lore actually, I'll give you the brief synopsis of what the lore is in my fan canon version, is that the Redeemer we have now is not the first Redeemer. That there was a Mark I version of the Redeemer built after the Second Tavaran War, and then when they needed to refit and fix some of the issues, it was basically it was a similar hull, smaller weapons, more focuses on dropships than gunships. It was effectively the first dropship for the UEE. And then mostly used by the Marines, so it didn't get a lot of attention. And then towards the end of the Meser era, they did this big thing about how they needed better, they needed something that could help improve the mobility of troops. So they went back and decided to make the Mark II of the Redeemer, which is what we see today. And they hired an eccentric engineer who developed the vector lock engine technology, which allowed for similar thrust to weight ratios with less fuel and less power requirements, so they could siphon the power to larger guns, because it needed to have more armor and more guns to defend against the Vandul. And while the project did okay, it was greenlit under Ulysses Meser, and then when Linton Meser took over, he decided he didn't like the project, so cut their funding, especially since the project leader, this eccentric engineer, was arrested 4 times for anti-Meser sentiments, anti-Meser statements. Eventually, the Mesers were overthrown, and unfortunately, the ship itself was housed on Locke. The Mark II was housed on Locke, Idris 4, which didn't actually. It held. There was a. We know in lore that there was probably some leftover Meserite who controlled Locke and refused to give it up, and so the locals rebelled against the local ruler. With help of Castak Arms. And so in my fan canon, this thing was stuck in a pro-Meser hangar at the end of the Meser era. And the engineering team decided, we got to figure out how to do. This is our life's work. We've worked 30 years on this thing. We got to get it out of here. And so they decided that they were going to surrender to the rebels. And so they loaded it up onto a truck with the help of some disgruntled Marines and Navy and Army personnel, military folks who weren't really in, like, they wanted to basically defect over to the new UEE. And they loaded the Redeemer, the Mark II up, and they carried it out. And they just had this huge like trip where like they had to survive an artillery barrage, a corrupt mayor, an old bridge, and a tense standoff before they were able to be safely surrendered themselves to the rebels. And this story got out after the fall of the Locke government and the initiation of the new government under the new UEE. This story got out and eventually got turned into a film in the Star Citizen universe called Locke's Redemption, and it's a hugely popular film throughout the 28th and 29th century. But because Aegis was in the shithole with the UEE, the Mark II was basically stored in a hangar and just left to rot. And then eventually, because of the needs of the UEE, they needed a gunship, so they brought back the Mark II and found out it was exactly what they needed, and still had some other issues, but eventually it got brought into service. So over 200 years after its initial development. That's my fan canon. It explains, and the fact that the vector lock engines are an experimental engine, and the fact that the original Redeemer in my fan canon was based off of the Prowler, not anything else, it makes a lot more sense as to what it's designed like. It's designed to be like a Prowler, but then the engines came in the Mark II, which allowed it to be a little bit different, but still kind of aping off the Prowler design. It's always anti-Mezzer. Well, you're always pro-Mezzer, Tyler. Always a corrupt mayor somewhere makes it believable. Well, the idea is like, you know, like I was inspired for that little section by, I forgot the name of it. There was a film that was done about a famous group of survivors from a gulag in Siberia who escaped, and then they made it through like, they went from Siberia through like the Middle Eastern desert to escape. Like it's an insane story. I can't remember the name, but there was a movie that was made off of it, and I figured something like that. We've got Atlas Rand giving out a ton. Thank you for gifting 10 gift subs, you absolute madman. Thank you so much for that. Interesting theory. Question: Didn't CIG said that the Redeemer was a new ship in lore and new state of VR technology? Exactly. That's why I said it was the Mark II, not the Mark I. That it's a new story. Here's the problem: CIG says it's a new ship, but they also say it predates both the Hercules and the Valkyrie, both of which were built in the 29th century. Those are two things of lore which contradict each other. So instead of going, I did the CIG thing. Instead of saying they don't actually contradict, they complement. Meaning it's not the first Redeemer, it's the second Redeemer. And the second Redeemer is such a complete overhaul from the first that it was built with modern technology, but when they brought it back, they updated it further to newer specs. That's just like the Hurstons. They did nothing wrong. Money is a sign of morality. Exactly. Yeah, German movie. I don't know the English name. You know what I'm talking about, right? I've seen this before. I've seen that movie before. And and I've heard the story behind it. It was really nuts. Redeemer is the best ship in the game, changed my mind. It's a flying garbage can. Do you know if they have some sort of church ship in the UEE fleet? No church ship. There's no like religious ship. There's religions all over the UEE like we have today. Similar religions that any religion that exists in Star Citizen or in modern day will exist in the Star Citizen universe. There's just a couple of new ones, alien ones, and of course there's the Church of the Journey. What kind of cap ship do you think Anvil would make based off the lore of the corporation? Armor and guns. They don't make a lot of torpedo boats, and they tend to focus on heavy armor and heavy guns. So my guess would be anywhere between a frigate and or like a gunship, and from a gunship is the smallest to like a cruiser at its largest, and built obviously for big honking, like chunky fighting, frontline gunfighter. Church of the KLF, I don't know what that is. And the Cult of Pico, yeah, but that's a player Cult of Pico. Also the Cult of Lamp, Church of the Lamp, which is an older religion in Star Citizen. You want to see a flying church full of tech priests? Funny enough, kingships, at least the kingship that the UEE has captured, had a full-blown cathedral inside of it to knives, like to like sharp instruments that you cut things with, like knives and stained glass windows. The Jackal Field sounds like a Vanguard or Defender competitor. Yeah, it's a Hercules. It's a Hercules with an interior. It sounds like my kind of religion. Somewhere there's a Vatican branded Redeemer and or Hammerhead. All right, let's actually look into the expectations for 317.2. So it's important to remember when we're talking about the future of Star Citizen, especially the near future, everything we have right now is limited to what they are confident that they're able to make. For instance, the overhaul of the combat beacons, they've mentioned is going to be set for release in 3.17.2, but it's not on the roadmap. It's likely because it got the green light before this or after this was pulled by Jake 2 weeks ago. Like, this was released Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but last Wednesday. So, and he pulled that 3 weeks before that, or 2 weeks before that. So it's been 3 weeks old. So this is like a month plus old by now, this roadmap stuff. So we'll get another update, which was pulled last week. Y'all. Yeah, it was pulled last week, I think. That's the way it works. 2 weeks ahead of time. So Jake always pulls the Jira a week before, or a week after, the week of the new post. So like last Wednesday he posted, he probably pulled the Jira at the same time, and then goes through and siphons out the Jira to like figure out which one is which. So what we do know is we are going to be getting derelict redeemers and points of interest. We have seen a ton of work on that. It's likely going to make it 3.17.2. It depends on when it comes out, but it's very, very possible. And also adding new Lagrange points around Microtech and ArtCorp. It makes sense. Like, it's something that they need to add stations. There's some stations that are just missing entirely, and you know, there's more than L5s. There's more than 5 L points. I think there's like 7 or 8 Lagrange points on most planets. I don't remember exactly. All I remember is that a Lagrange point, for those who don't know, is where gravity is being pushed from multiple different angles, so it's effectively stable. So you can put something in that point and it won't move. It'll move, but it'll move. It'll stay put because there's enough pull on it from different points of gravity that it doesn't actually rotate or orbit or anything. It's like it stays in the same spot all the time. I think that's the way it is. It might rotate around a little bit or orbit around a little bit, but it's stable point. And there are multiple L5 points. The Earth IRL does have L points all over it. And there are different points between like the Earth and the Moon. The Moon has its own L points, and then Earth and Sol have its L points, and that kind of stuff. Hey, Devikin. I saw your message. I haven't gotten back to you because I've been doing other things, but I don't have the ability to, like, I don't have time to edit, sadly. So if I'm attacked by vandals, I can just bust out my Banu knife and set it to the ground and run away while they pray. I don't think they worship it that hard. All right. So hear me out. Tavaran Jackal or an alien starship. I'd love to see a Tavaran Jackal, but that's just me. Though knowing CIG, they'll call it something different too. It won't be called the Jackal. It'll be called something different because they want to. That's an example of like where the lore doesn't matter. Like the lore is cool. It's cool. The Jackal's a cool name, but it may not fit for the ship that they build that's based off the Jackal. It might be called something else. Just like I'm pretty sure that the Scorpius is actually the Black Widow, but because it's got the movable turret on it, they decided to go Scorpion. You know, because its tail is, you know, that's the whole thing. All right, AI planetary nav mesh. So for reference, this allows for an AI to walk around on the surface of planets instead of having to be in specific locations. Right now, AI are stuck to moving around, say, a landing zone or inside a bunker or inside a station. This allows them to effectively walk around the surface of a planet, chase you into a bunker, possibly even chase you out of a bunker. I don't think they're smart enough for that in this version, but they'll definitely allow them to move around, which will increase the mission abilities. We'll almost certainly have more missions because of this, or the missions will change dramatically for this. So this is one of those things to keep an eye on, is the missions themselves are likely going to get glow-ups rather than new gameplay specifically for 3.17.2. And then the big thing for 3.17.2 is illegal delivery missions, which they talked about, which is now you can do missions that'll give you more reputation, which will give you more money, similar to the modern delivery missions. So It's more of a throwback to the old delivery missions, but now they have reputation, which means the more you do it, the better missions you unlock, and the higher missions you unlock, the more bonuses you get for doing them because you have a higher reputation, just like bounty hunting and all those other things. Which I expect is to be probably higher payouts than normal missions. My hope is, at least, so that people will more likely do them because there's a higher risk. It also sounds like they're bringing back interdictions more for 317.2. So. And then the Siege of Orison
is a complicated profession.
So this is the crazy one. This is the one that has the 4 platforms. 4 fucking platforms. And they're huge. Anyone who's been around on, I think it was a Friday when I walked around the platforms for the Siege of Orison, the one platform for the Siege of Orison, there are 2 more of those, plus a third one, plus a 4th one, which is a golf course. It's nuts. And it has FPS and airborne components. There are massive landing pads, so you may be able to land like troops directly onto there. So it's going to be big. So the new illegal mission delivery through Red Wind delivery and initially legal missions to earn their trust. Yes, initially you do some legal missions and eventually you unlock the illegal options. Hey, Tidbot Turner. What's a jackal? So a jackal was referenced in a story called Instrument of Surrender, which is one of the Star Citizen story within the story. They have these like fictional narratives that are told inside the Star Citizen universe. You can think of them as like books or comic books. Having some weird issues with the YouTube side of stuff. I'm gonna look through something real quick. I just had a spike, I think, is what the issue was. Should be fine. Thanks for Twitch Prime there, sub there, Notre Dame. Sincerely, Paul, I do not believe this is an update of a new delivery mission, The event is really going to be equivalent to Xenothreat, but FPS. Yes, there's also some airborne stuff. I'm imagining that there'll be airborne, like you have to get, people in and out of an area. Not Real Dan. Got you. Not Real Dan. Thank you for that. Yes, so the Jackal is a Tavaran heavy fighter. That's a two crew fighter, which is in that lore. That's often fighting the UEE, and the story Instrument of Surrender takes place at the end of the Second Tavaran War. Don't forget Rule 3 when taking illegal missions: never to open a package. Yes, I saw Burks and crew landing an MSR at the event with a party of 50. Huge and crazy. It's massive. You could fit an MSR onto that platform and 50 players, and it would still be too big for 50 people. It's huge. We're definitely going to play that when it goes live, but that's what we have so far. That's all we really have. There's probably going to be more there in the future, but for right now, that is what we have for 317.2. So my guess is definitely more along the lines of mission updates, plus a new, obviously a new. The Siege of Orison, but I also expect that we're going to see the return of Jumptown with reinforcements coming down from NPCs to try to take Jumptown back after it's been taken. So I'm expecting to see some NPCs hanging around Jumptown. When you get there, you have to kill them off and then start the process of gathering the packages. And then there's a timer set where eventually NPCs will show up and try to take back the whole drug lab while you're there. We're also going to get all of the other other events over 317.2 as well. Xeno Threat. What was the other one? Xeno Threat. Again. The Ninetales lockdown again. It's way too close. There we go. Oh, nice. Good job, Doa. I remember seeing the Vandal Stinger in the shots of the Vandal rework. I'd love to see that ship. I think the Stinger is the heavy fighter. Thank you so much for that Twitch Prime sub for 8 months. Oh my God, he just touched me. You work with a small team of 9. Oh, that's pretty good. Hey, G Sharp. I should really haven't checked since I went off to go do graduation. Well, shit. I guess a lot of people were subscribing to me on YouTube now. I think I got 100. No, can't be 100. $26. Okay, I got 26. 26 today. That's all right. And I got friggin' 38 on on Wednesday because right after I released a bunch of stuff. Like last week was pretty good for most of that. Thank you for that $10 super chat. Hey Paul, completely off topic, but what's your favorite time period IRL history to discuss research? Early modern Europe. Time period right after the medieval period, but right before the Victorian era. A time period where you see a lot of change happening, where you see the switch over from swords, shields, armor, halberds, and that kind of stuff to just halberds and spikes and shot. That era. Because it's an era that gets overlooked a lot because it's a transition period. And most people remember it as the Age of Discovery. But, like, there's some really screwed up things that happen in early modern Europe. These next 2 patches can be described as human sacrifices, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. It'd be weird. Yeah. When do you think we'll see that Liberator? Well, after CIG comes out. A little bit of boost from hanging out with level cap. Yeah, a little bit so far. We're at 13K for subs on YouTube. We're at 14,884 on Twitch right now. I want to get 15K on Twitch before the end of the year, but we'll see. So if you haven't already subscribed to us on Twitch or followed us here on, subscribed to us on YouTube and followed us on Twitch, please do so. That's basically what I did my research on for when I was in college, was early modern Europe. Oh, so I see a question. If do you know if the 3 parts to the story are in chronological order, and if so, do any that takes place after Star Citizen? Chapter 1 takes place in 2945. Yeah, 2945, and I think it takes place over a year. And then chapter 2 is directly after that, and chapter 3 should be directly after that. So I'd expect it to take place, chapter 1 to 3 take place between 2945 and 2950. How the ship waifus come along? I've seen the Hornet and the Aurora, both amazing, by the way. We've released the Avenger and the Gladius and the Redeemer. I'm not the Redeemer, the Reclaimer. I just saw the work in progress. I've got 2 versions I got to kind of go through and choose for the saber. The artist took one look at it and said, "That's a bat," and I'm like, "Go for it, make it a bat girl." We'll see how that goes. So I'm sure people will enjoy it. What do you think we'll see at Alien Week? It's hard to tell. It really is. Like, I'm guessing we'll see something Banu related or something Xi'an related. But the more I've been thinking about it, the more I'm thinking Banu. Because last year we got Xi'an. I don't think we'll get Tavarin because as much as I like Tavarin, it's just probably not going to happen.
Drugs.
Because we have a Banu Merchantman and the Defender. And the Merchantman's coming out the end of this year, so I wouldn't be surprised if they'd have something closer to release for a medium or like a specialty ship. Like I've always pitched the idea of a salvage and miner combo that's run by the Xi'an. The Banu. Because the Banu are very technical oriented, so having something that is much more utilitarian that can allow that will work. Do you think the demo of BMM on the floor for IAE? I think they'll have the BMM ready for IAE. Valkyrie thick Nordic biker chick. Definitely gonna have the wings though, Tree. You gotta have the wings. You gotta have the wings. Anything working on anything Aopoa? Yeah, they're working on the Santok Yai, which is the medium fighter. It's the Aopoa. You really want an alien heavy fighter? We'll see. I didn't see it there, Moon. I'm gonna bring up hygiene again, but it isn't the javelin showers, very open, kind of like gym showers where everyone can see everyone. I'm still wondering if we're going to be blurred on nude undies. Nude undies. You're just not going to be nude. You're going to have undies. I think the way that showers are going to work is you probably have to strip down to your basics and then take a shower, and then that will actually decrease your hygiene or increase your hygiene, whatever way they're doing it. Decrease your dirty factor, your dirt meter. But I don't think you'll see a dirt meter. I think you'll just see your like, there'll be like different complexion, you know, over time, or something will change on your body that you'll need to change. What am I looking forward to in 4.0? 4.0, that's what I'm looking forward to. Just having people stop complaining about Pyro. Once Pyro is out, it'll be nice to be like, oh, thank God. Shut the fuck up about Star Citizen only being one star system. It'll go down to like people being like, well, it's only 2-star system. It's like, yeah, but it's got multiple stars. But having 4.0 done will be a big boon for everybody. And I think it'll be very nice to go from 1-star system to 2-star systems, and I wouldn't be surprised if shortly after 1.0 in the Q2 patch of next year, or Q3 patch of next year, we'll see Nyx. Because Nyx is not that much different, and they've already started to work on it. I don't think you're going to get the Starship Troopers nude shower scene there, Tree. They said specifically they want to keep it a kind of a teen rating. Not necessarily intentional, like if they wanted to do something that pushed it into mature rating, they wouldn't change the content. They definitely want to keep it around teen if they were to get it rated. Well, we'll still hear Redditors going on about those expensive JPEGs. Of course we will. People are going to talk about that until Star Citizen is done. I think the big thing to take away from 4.0 is that 4.0 is going to be a very different experience than any of the other .0s, big, you know, X.X patches, 2.0 and 3.0. Because we're going to see better frame rates, but probably worse experiences early on. More crashes, more server hiccups, more issues like that. But your frame rate's going to be fucking amazing, at least early on. And the fact that there's going to be more players, we're going to change how things work, so. In the Star Citizen, do you think we will be able to take back systems from the Vanduul? Yeah, they've said so. They've said 100% that you will be able to take back systems from the Vanduul, and the UEE will come back in and take it over time, because that's how the once it's safe, the the Quanta will move in to secure the region. Starting with optimization. What's the thing? It's like 3.18 is a huge patch because it's coming in with Gen 12. And we've seen the kind of performance boost that happens when only some parts of Gen 12 are introduced in 3.17. 3.17.2 is going to have even more parts, and 3.18 is going to have the full gambit of Gen 12 in, plus maybe a little bit of Vulkan. So by the time we get 4.0, they'll probably have the full implementation of Vulkan, Gen 12, plus server meshing. You know, all of those things together are going to increase performance particularly high, like particularly well. It's just a matter of how well it will be and if it will offset the gameplay experience. I think subcomponents will arrive soon. No, I think we're probably a year away from that. I think CIG is just heads down on the side, like basically what you've heard from Chris Roberts. Don't expect anything else. Bounty for under V2, salvage, cargo refactor, server meshing, persistence, Gen 12. Nothing else. I wouldn't expect anything else to be added. No new damage model, no new subcomponents. I think those things are being worked on, but they're definitely not going to make the cut. At the Astropub, with NavMesh Tech and after 4.0 / Pyro, do you think we'll get some fauna? I think the first thing they'll do is add in the Pyro Crab and the Stalker, the Boreal Stalker, aka the Yeti from the Microtech Yeti. I think those two will get added fairly soon after that, because the biggest issue is how do you deal with fauna moving through possibly meshed servers, and also having a gameplay performance which is good enough to support fauna, having all those data points walking around. So I think that's probably post 4.0. Maybe not not like before 4.0, but maybe around 4.0 or after 4.0. I mean, hell, 3.18 is a new Star Citizen game. It's still 50 players, but it's going to be completely different in terms of your experience. And 4.0, 2023, is going to be even bigger. If someone randomly exploring space happened to cross paths with the Kurthok, do you think the Xi'an would interact with space and wipe it out of space time? I think the Xi'an would yeah, they definitely kill and burn everything, all of those contacts. If you made contact with the Kurthok, you are going to die. Unless you can run faster than the Xi'an, you're gonna die. I don't need more gameplay. I just want more immersive world. Box missions would be fun if there were more flora and fauna. Same with cave missions. Yeah, but the issue is more performance-based. They can't add more stuff, really. They're at that kind of the upper edge of what they can add in the game. Persistence is really needed for a lot of that stuff to even be considered. And even then, you'll need meshing, because meshing has to be done so you can interact. What happens when a fauna, like a Boreal Stalker ends up going between meshes? How does that work? What's happening with our own apartments? That's probably a post 3.18 discussion. I want to see a Xi'an rip some jugulars out. Let's go. I don't know if the Xi'an would rip your jugulars out, but they probably kill you. Which changes could have in 3.18? We know for sure what they're planning on adding is cargo system refactor, salvage, the Drake Vulture, the Grey Cat multi-tool, and the persistent entity streaming. Those are all the ones, the PES system. Those are all the ones that we have for 3.18. We don't know anything else other than that. We're definitely not seeing base building. Space whales at SitCon, probably. We saw the space whales in the what are they called? In the Invictus trailer. If anything, we're probably going to get space whales first. That would be my guess. If they were going to get one fauna before 4.0, it would be space whales at 3.18. What are they called? I can't remember the name of them. They have a specific name that they use. Yeah, we're not going to see base building for a while. I think 2023 is not going to happen. It's going to be 2024 at the earliest. Stormwall. Thank you, PC Tech. Yeah, they do. I think Osoian Osoian meat is also considered like an aphrodisiac. They definitely hunt sentient creatures. I really want to hunt fauna. That would be really a lot of fun, especially something like a freaking Yeti. Well, we also have my favorite starship. I'm going to do an entire like Galactic Historian. That's probably what I'll do this week and kind of release it for next week. Is a video talking about all of the fauna that we know about in the Star Citizen universe, including the sandworm, the blind oni crab, the ranta, the Kazi grazer, the boreal stalker, the pyro crab, and the stormwall. Those are the 7 that we know of so far. Yeah, that's basically what Chris said, is that he don't expect 4.0 to come out until April, Q1 of 2023, which is makes sense. Is the cargo refactoring the same as physical inventory, such as being able to use armor racks and lockers? Yes. Cargo refactor also allows you to load in and load out cargo manually. The reason why, I mean, we probably won't see the armor lockers work, but we'll definitely see the weapon racks, which do already work. And I don't know it's Cyrillic. I don't use Cyrillic, so I don't know what that says. Thank you. Oh, just says hello, everybody. Okay, I gotcha. Thank you. Well, April 10th. Well, April 10th is first jump day. Yes, April 10th, 24 something is first jump day. Yeah, that would make sense. Try to get it on first jump day. Do you think we're going to see a metabolism system like Scum-like in terms of deep stats? No. CIG is not going to go that deep. I think it's just because it's CIG wants to go sim, but they want to go up to sim and then pull it back. There's already so many of the things that you're going to have to track with Star Citizen that they don't want to make it super hard. They definitely want to make it more important. And they do already have a system in place for basic hunger and thirst, where like some things will boost your hunger, but then will drain your thirst over time. So there's going to be some sort of boosts where the right food and drink combination will increase your performance overall. At what rate do you see development increasing once Squadron 42 is released? Let me address that, because that's something that actually I hear a lot about. A lot of people say, well, Squadron 42 is going to, when Squadron 42 is done, Star Citizen is going to pick up pace. And then I hear a lot of people comment, no, because Squadron 42 Chapter 2, the second game in the Squadron 42 trilogy, is going to be worked on right after Squadron 42 is released. And the answer is, you're both right. The problem right now with Squadron 42 is that they have to build the engine. And they're building the engine for Squadron 42 at the same time they're building the engine for Star Citizen, because they're the same engine. So they're the same game, but one is more single player and one is multiplayer. They use the same engine and everything. They're building them at the same time. That's why it takes a long time. Once Squadron 42 Episode 1 or Chapter 1, whatever it's called, Squadron 42 1 is out. Squadron 42 2 won't take nearly as long as Squadron 42 1, because anything done for Star Citizen will immediately be put into Squadron 42 Part 2. So Star Citizen will become the focus after that, with mostly mission designers and narrative folks focusing on Squadron 42, while a lot of the engine stuff and the other things that are designed to kind of flesh out the game will be moving back to Star Citizen. I honestly think we're going to see an increase in Star Citizen development after 4.0 is done, because server mesh, static server mesh, is not going to be it's going to be the last big hurdle. I know everyone says, well, dynamic. Yeah, well, dynamic lets you have thousands of people in a shard. But the difference between dynamic and static isn't really that much, except for that size. I still have yet to hear anybody tell me why dynamic meshing is required for any gameplay element of Star Citizen. It's mostly just performance and scale. That's all it is. Which means that you can build gameplay loops much faster. That's one of the reasons why we haven't seen a ton of new gameplay added, is because they have to wait for all these other systems to be put in place so that they can build the systems with that whole system in mind. They build these gameplay with a meshed server persistent in mind. You can kind of guess at that right now, but come April, May of next year, that's going to be a completely different ballgame. Spaceship! How you doing, Hellcat? Paul, I bought your t-shirt. You're supposed to be here my needs. I'm glad you bought my t-shirt. I heard it's very, very comfortable. The cloth they make it out is really good. Hey, Spooty. Will the cargo refactor also mean the elimination of magic boxes? Like when you drop your helmet from your inventory, it goes into a box versus the helmet placed on the ground? Probably not version 1, but I doubt it. Not version 1. I think maybe down the line, yes, but not version 1. Do you think cargo refactor will allow me to build a base of containers? Yes, it'll let you build a base of containers. Hi, Paul. Sorry I'm late. Glad to be here. I'm glad you're here too. I'm sorry I was late as well. Right now, as it is really arcadey, like you don't have to do it for a day, you die. If you don't eat for a day, you die. Yeah. But you're still gonna have that problem. But they'll tune it down. They'll make it so that it's less extreme, but they gotta wait for over time to kind of see how it goes. T-shirt? I have t-shirts. I sell t-shirts. The Astropub t-shirts. I've been meaning to go back and overhaul my my merch, and add in a Galactic Historian merch and a Lore Citizen podcast merch. What are your opinions on players maybe staging or living in Lear system? Good or bad idea? I mean, people live in Australia. They have so since the Stone Age. Even though that place is a hellscape, that's where everything is designed to kill you. The Aboriginals lived there for thousands of years. They've managed to deal with it okay. So yeah, Lear, why not? People will live in Lear even though it's designed to kill you. The Monthly Report was a good read. Very exciting time. Makes me feel like Neo when he says Kung equals Fu. I know Kung Fu. Yeah, I'm actually going to be reading that today, right now, live after, in a few minutes. So I'm going to record that as well for YouTube, because I always do, for those of you who don't know, I do live readings of the monthly reports on these, office hours, because it helps people who would rather have audio forms. I've been one of those proponents of, I'd love to see Jared just sit down with the monthly report and just read it in a smooth voice and just say, this is the monthly report, and just give us a monthly report in that way, so that people will get the audiobook format, because more people will listen or watch it than they will actually read it, because it's a lot easier for someone to hear me talk about it while they're making dinner or playing the game or doing something else, so they can pick up on some of the stuff on their own. Hey Astro, I watched the video with you and Level Cap, and dude, I could sit for hours and listen to you talk about Star Citizen lore. Billy, I'm glad you could do that, because I have literal hours of content on Star Citizen lore that I've been making for 3 to 4 years now. Galactic Historian on my YouTube. There's a playlist. Let me look at the actual playlist. Look at it real quick. The Galactic Historian playlist has 114 videos. Going through all of this. They're hidden. I do history week's launch week. I don't know why I didn't find it earlier. Yeah, I'll put the link in chat. Exclamation point GH in chat will get you that link though, as well. You watched that whole playlist? People have watched it multiple times. The Jump Wars video is still one of my favorites. I really enjoy it, yeah. I want a Lord of Lore shirt. I gotta figure out what I was thinking about doing with Lord of Lore is doing it like Lord of War. The poster. But the Lord of War poster is Nicolas Cage made out of bullets. So I have to do something like me made out of words. I'm too picky about the non-passive phrasing to read the monthly report. If Lear doesn't kill you, the cultist probably will. Exactly. You need the guy from the New Deal to read it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that voice, baby. I'm about to double dip. Yeah, I mean, so I've sent all my information off to the editor. The editor gave me about a 15-minute breakdown. I didn't quite like it, so we're going to have to go back and talk with... I'm going to go back and talk with him and kind of point out some spots that need to be changed. And when that happens, it'll probably... that video is probably not coming out until July. I'm just going to be honest about that. I'm going to have to talk with him about it and see what's going on, because I have a concern that this may not work out, but we'll see. I love that show podcast with you and Space Tomato talking about the different systems in Star Citizen. Hope you guys do that again sometime. I'll talk to him about it. I mean, I've got the summer off, so we'll probably do something like that. But I do want to do, I still want to do an incomplete history of the verse. I have the first episode recorded. It just needs to be edited. That's pretty much all it is. And my plan is to write and record the second episode next week so that I can get that done. Third episode a week after that or something like that. Probably maybe take a week before July. Get that done. Just so I can have the audio done. And then the issue is just editing. I find that the editing takes longer than anything else. You have to bounce tonight. Thanks you for hanging out, Outlaw. Sorry we're so late. I screwed that up. I meant to say passive phrasing like the animations were progressed to stage 2. Yeah. I missed the start of the stream because I watched the Level Caps podcast with you. Thank you for watching. Please do watch that podcast because when I talked with Level Cap, he said that like those videos don't do quite as good as some of his other videos. So I wanna let people know that he does a podcast. He's talked with I think Space Tomato and Morphologist, myself. I think he's talked with a couple of other people as well. So go do that and send him some love for that one. Instead of saying Joe and his team worked on the animations for coffee drinking after NPCs ordered coffee, the Star Citizen monthly reports tend to do that rather than, and the Squadron 42 tends to be more of that passive to stage 2 or whatever. How many systems do you think we'll be able to take from the Vanduul? Do you think we'll be able to go further into Vanduul space and discover new systems? For sure. There are multiple Vanduul systems which only are theoretical. We know they exist and we have names for them, but we've never been to them because we know that there is a jump point that connects that system to a system we already have, or something to that align. We have an idea of where these systems are, but we haven't been able to travel there because usually the Vanduul show up out of jump points from those places and kill everything. So. Star Citizen's blown up big with the streamers and content creators. I've seen it come and go. People like Jack Frags and Level Cap and Ollie are I'm glad that they're here, but I'm sure they'll move on when the next big thing comes around. They'll go play another thing for a little bit, and they'll come back eventually. Burke Black does that all the time. Yeah, it'll fade and grow. Over the summer, it'll probably do okay. Usually the summer is when Star Citizen does okay with content creators, because there's a drought of content for everything else, and Star Citizen tends to be pretty steady. And a lot of people like to come back and check on it now and then. And then we'll see a little bit of an uptick around the fall, but there's a bunch of other stuff coming out in the fall, and then it'll dip down again and then come back up. Yeah, Level Cap's one of those guys who's been around. He's been around for like 3 years off and on with Star Citizen. Same with Burke Black, and a lot of other people are bringing. Thank the other content creators who have been snagging these folks and bringing them into the game. I've been like, hey, come here, you'll enjoy it. Hope they never reveal much about the Vandal systems and let explorers do it. I think it's the plan. Watch the Level Cap podcast today too. I'm glad he's enjoying the game so much in his current state. Yeah. I mean, to put it in perspective, 2042, when it released, was a disaster. Anyone who's played that knows how bad it released. And then it's been kind of abandoned, and EA's kind of half just deciding not to do anything about it, and they're trying to go back and effectively 2042 was released 2 years too early. And they're going to have to go back and fix all those problems to make it work. And it'll probably end up being like Battlefield 4, which was really well loved, but yeah. And, Star Citizen has bugs, but Star Citizen is this ever-moving locomotive. It's a steam train that's building up speed, and it's getting harder and harder to stop it as it goes forward. We complain about bugs and issues, but there have been more game-breaking bugs and much higher production games than Star Citizen in, like, the recent memory. Thank you for the $10 there, Brandon. I have it from a good source that the Kurthok are really the Asari from Mass Effect. Possibly. My theory is that the Kurthok are an AI race, which were created by the Xi'an and gained independence. And mostly just want to be left alone. Good afternoon. Currently recovering from surgery, so I've been at home consuming massive Star Citizen content. Totally loving your channel. Great catch your live. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Rubbish. Take care. Heal up. I know that feeling when you just can't do anything and you're just sitting there going, what do I do? So I'm glad to have hundreds of hours of content for you to consume. Ode to Mass Effect, yeah. Do you think they'll be able to raid the Banu and free their captives and possibly cause a war between the escalation between Nah, there's no such thing as war in the Banu's culture. There's conflict, but no war. There's no way the Banu would go to war with humanity because we freed some of their slaves. Well, captives. That feeling really sucks, yeah. You're totally right about how it's picking up steam. Sooner or later, it'll just be a storm of updates. Exactly. I mean, that's one of the big things I'm looking forward to with 4.0 is that 4.0 is going to be the beginning of that storm, where I think CIG, it won't be like 4.0 is done and suddenly there's a flood of content coming out. But I think 4.0 will come out and then we'll have like a patch of new content, new gameplay, and then that looks like that summer, and then after that summer, that fall, coming fall, we'll see a new system. Like Nyx will come in, because we know that Nyx is already being worked on in terms of the planetary stuff. The planets of Nyx are being worked on. There isn't a ton to Nyx other than the planets and Levski and Delamar. Delamar is done. Levski is done. They just need to be updated to modern tech, and that's it. So they've even we know that they built the medical center for Delamar already. We don't know if it's done. Probably is. But we don't have Delamar in game anymore, so we don't see it. But we've seen it before. We know it's been finished. We even have one of the mission givers is there. So we're going to see Nyx come out shortly after that. And by the time Nyx is coming out, they'll already have been working on another system for them to release. So we'll see systems start coming out twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, and gameplay coming out every patch, or every other patch, and then every patch, and then, multiple gameplay systems being added per patch, just because the last groundwork will have been laid with 4.0. Your content is the exactly type of stuff I listen to while driving to work and drinking my coffee. I'm glad to hear. I heard people like to say I could just they like to listen to me going to sleep. But saw the Level Cap podcast and have seen lots of your other videos. Gotta say, I love your enthusiasm about the lore. As a fellow lore lover myself, you're the best place to learn about it. Thanks, man. I think I'm the only place to learn about it, sadly. There's a couple of other lore channels out there who've done lore for Star Citizen, but I think they just kind of stopped doing it after a while because they didn't get a lot of traction, which makes me sad because they're really good. Better than me in some cases. Only game in the same level of graphics right now is Tarkov, but Tarkov, you're going to see it more on weapons and gear rather than the overall Star Citizen, yeah. Hard disagree. The buggiest game in recent memory is Cyberpunk, but while the game is hilariously buggy, I didn't have to completely reload the game every 20 minutes. I've had to. I've had game-breaking bugs with Cyberpunk when it first launched, to the point where I had to restart the entire character multiple times. And there was a hell of a lot more hype for Cyberpunk than there is for Star Citizen. It's uphill for the Star Citizen train. It's only uphill, only downhill. What's this? It's speeding up, defying the laws of physics? My God, no. It's only downhill. I don't know if I said uphill. Levski is done. Yeah, but they have to go back and redo it. Question: what is your favorite weapon manufacturer and ship manufacturer? Castek Arms and Drake Interplanetary. Castek Arms, and both of them are lore reasons, but also because I liked the guns and the ships before I really knew the lore. I think I liked the ships. I liked the lore for Drake, and then I fell in love with the ships more. But the reason why I like Castek Arms is because Castek Arms are shitty, horrible arms dealers. They are the worst scum, like in terms of the planet. But they are so bad that they come around, they horse you around to being good. They sell guns to so many people that some of the people they sell guns to are good people who end up doing good things with those guns. So they accidentally themselves into good PR. Like, for instance, Lock 4, there's no real hard evidence for this, but there is mentions of Lock 4 having a revolution and that Castek Arms weapons were used for it. And so my theory is that, and fairly recently, so my theory is that there was a holdout for the Mezzers on Lock 4, or on Idris 4, aka Lock, and a rebel group kind of rose up and overthrew the last of the Mezzer kind of governors of the planet forcibly. And they used Castek Arms weapons, and they were so thankful to Castek Arms for supplying them with weapons that they gave them the new flag of Lock, and it hangs at the Castek Arms headquarters. I love them. They're scumbags, and I love them. Legitimately sell guns to the criminals and then give guns and armor to the police, being like, hey, we're helping you fight crime. 4.0 will blow the roof off the house for people interested in Star Citizen. I think it will see a much bigger flow by far than we have now. Yeah, especially with larger gameplay, like just more people. A great example being the combat platforms in Orison, i.e. no armistice zones right next to the hospital spawns. If they just put the loot in there, we could see a Tarkov-style game mode. Yeah. We spotted for new systems. I do wonder if how Soul will look when they get to it. Probably similar and different. I don't think we're going to see Soul until after, like around 1.0, the full release, which may be years still. I just want my Levski back. We all want Levski back. And who didn't keep slaves, they merely help individuals get contracts they wouldn't accept otherwise. Yeah. Cannot wait for the first major Xi'an system. I want to see the Xi'an cities. They're pretty cool. For someone that wants to learn the lore in chronological order, where should they start? It's difficult because I don't have most of my lore in chronological order because it just doesn't work. I'm making videos that work in chronological order, but to start, I have 4 videos. I have Citizen's Guide to Lore, and then I've got, I think, what you need to know about Star Citizen lore. Then Citizen's Guide to Lore is 3 videos, and that'll tell you what the universe is. The first Citizen's Guide to Lore is a full kind of summary of the timeline. It's about 15 minutes, I think, of the full timeline from very early on to today. And then there is a one I did about Stanton, and then one I did about the factions. Once you've done that, I would go to my Lore Citizen podcast and start listening from the beginning. It's not in chronological order towards the end, but the first 3 or 4 episodes are in chronological. So you'll get a little bit more of a deep dive into the first early history of humanity. What's the expectation for when 317.2 drops? 1 to 2 weeks? I would say about a month. Probably mid-July, would be my guess. I refunded 2077 and got Deep Rock. Oh, Deep Rock is such a good choice. I look forward to the day I can roam the quarters of Kraken. Yeah. Is there a mention of other new elements to mine in other systems? No, but I wouldn't be surprised if they expanded it a little bit more. As soon as they fix desyncs and optimization a bit more, they just need to put missions in the open with good AI and better inventory system, and boom, StarCraft Reforger. I mean, a lot of that stuff is going to be done in 317.2 and going forward. My favorite ship of all time is forever is the Reclaimer. That's good. My org is debating making an anti-slaver group that raids Banu both riches and free slaves, basically Star Citizen Robin Hood. There was a I don't remember the name of it, but there was a British patrol that would patrol off the Ivory Coast to raid slave ships to free slaves. I can't remember the name of it though. There was a name for that patrol, which was maybe the Ivory Patrol or something like that. But they pull a Condi and Civ. Yes, they basically Mr. Bean their way into good PR. Yes. Paul, what is the reason for the Lorville rework? What are CIG doing to the most repressive city in the system? They're replacing the Skyline. The Skyline is very old, and I think they're going to probably update some of the older stuff, because Lorville is the oldest city next to Grimhex and what is it called? Levski. But Levski is not directly in the game right now, and Grimhex has already gotten updated multiple times, but Lorville has not. Fiona's grandchild will be back, and I'll be by her side, raising the UE and forcing everyone to submit. I'd love to see the return of Fiona, or Fiona's grandchildren. I'm in love with the Carrack, but I'll never be able to afford it in or out of the game. You can get the Carrack game. It's not going to be that expensive. It just takes a while. Hold on, sir. When the situation is only downhill from here, does that mean things are going to shit? I understand that gravity makes downhill journey easier, but saying uphill sounds much better. Downhill from here means, in my mind, it's all downhill in terms of it's all smooth sailings from there forward. But I get what you're saying. Paul, in your opinion, how important is player piracy in the long-term health of the game? Most piracy will not be with players. That's not saying players won't be pirates. It's just that player pirates won't pirate other players. Player pirates are going to be more likely to pirate NPCs in the future. We just don't have those in the game as frequently yet. But 3.18 and beyond, we're going to start to see a lot more of that happening in Star Citizen, which means if you're a pirate, you're more likely 9 times out of 10 going to run into an NPC than a player. Players pirating other players is still important, but it's not going to happen as frequently. So piracy on its own, yes, is vitally important to the universe. Not only because it's NPCs will be pirates, but players will be pirates, and they will 100% affect the economy and change how the dynamics of systems work. Viewer picture: where's Crusader security during the siege of Orison? Dead, most of them. I was surprised the other day the Twitch streamer was playing Star Citizen with 2,500 viewers. I saw that earlier. Yeah, I don't remember who that was. They looked familiar though. Please tell Billy Angel to hit me up anytime he wants to fly or use my Carrack. There we go. Hellcat's got you on YouTube there, Billy. Will there be a wipe? Oh, that'd be a wipe. It's hard to tell. Most likely there'll be a wipe between now and 4.0. I just don't know when. Yeah, 4.0 will either be a wipe or 3.18 will be a wipe. One of those two. Prison Orson. Same thing with that atmosphere. Anti-slavery group? Uh-oh. West African Squadron. Thank you. The West African Squadron. I thought they had a name for them, like the Phoenix or something like that. No, it's not. Yeah, so Banu have a weird thing. They don't really have slavery in the same concept as we understand slavery. Nothing is done in Banu society without a contract. It's just some people don't realize they're signing contracts when they're signing them, because the concept of consent is a lot more dubious in Banu society. But Banu society as a whole is built on contracts, and it's hard to say. When a Banu is born, they're born to a effectively a birthing Suli, or like a breeding Suli, which is usually maybe one or two or more Banu working together to have children. And then those children will then be sold to raising Suli. Suli, which are, and for those of you who don't know, who are probably like, what the fuck's a Suli, Paul? Sulis are the core fundamental group of Banu. They're sort of like families and businesses and guilds all wrapped up into one. So typical Banu life, you're born, you're sold to a rearing Suli, and then that rearing Suli will raise you and then sell you to an education Suli, and the education Suli will then, like a teaching Suli, school Suli, and will then figure out what you're good at, train you in that skill, and then sell you to a Suli for your skills. And then you will work, once you've gotten to that Suli working skills, you will have a price that you have to pay off. Once you've paid off all your debt to the Suli, you're free to leave. Or if the Esso Suli, the leader of the Suli, dies, then you're free to leave. And then you can sign new contracts other places. So at its core, the Banu are all slaves because they all buy and sell each other all the time. But it's not the same concept. It's much more of a you have a debt to society is who you are, based off of what you do. F4 is making piracy nearly impossible. Not really. I mean, it depends. Do you think we'll see an FPS boost with 3.18? Yes. Phrase all down from here does typically mean it's only going to get worse from here. I know. But I mean, also downhill in terms of like train movements. Hard NPCs won't be as much fun. I think hardcore will always hit players something big. I mean, yeah, but you're not going to see something like that until further on. You sure you won't? You sure players won't pirate other players? That Legionnaire says otherwise. No, I didn't say they won't. I just says you won't likely see that. A Legionnaire can pirate an NPC as well as it can pirate a player. Zentrea? I don't know. Sheriff Eli? Oh, it was Zentrea. I think it was, yeah, Zentrea, I think was the one. It wasn't Sheriff Eli, but I've seen Sheriff Eli stream the Star Citizen before. Oh, Deadly Slob. Yeah, Deadly Slob. I've seen Deadly Slob before. I've seen him play Star Citizen before, I think, but I don't think he's had that much. Can't wait for a functional point defense cannon, yes. Paul, if the Vulture could repair in a pinch, are we going to be seeing repair gameplay soon? Yes, but not really. The Vulture can't repair. The Vulture can just make the goo that you can then load up your repair gun with and then use that to repair ships. Yes, repair gameplay has already been confirmed to coming with salvage. And Jesse Kazan. Okay. I'm assuming PES will require a wipe. That's the question, if it will or not. Because PES, for those of you who don't know, is the persistent entity streaming, which is effectively the foundation of all persistence in the game. And I think it'll depend if they can migrate all of that stuff from the current backend to the PES effectively. The reason I thought they might wipe with 4.0 would be to expedite the testing process, i.e. more peeps and pyro off the bat. Possibly. That makes sense. Ancient society would slavery that way. The way that we think slavery isn't how we thought most people would be sold themselves to masters. It would be different, yeah. Am I going to need a law degree to play this? No, you won't, luckily. Never give Banu an autograph, eh? No, never give your Banu an autograph. The devil's in the details of the contract. Exactly. A shuli. It's a suli. S-O-U-L-L-I is how you pronounce it. Where would I start if I got bored and want to start reading the lore? I'm not much for some. I'm not much for some of the stories I've seen them post. Yeah, Moondog just gave you that link. That's my playlist to Galactic Historian. I do a full breakdown of kind of how the lore works. I hope PES will wipe the back end during with all that dupe that happened. I would hope so too, especially with the like trading glitches that they could do. Repair gameplay equals the opposite of hole stripping. Yeah, it's not true repair. It's the same as like salvages or hole strippings and true salvage. Unsulitia. Cargo Refactor should bring a wipe, as trade loading will then have similar mining and refining times. All money will be made via trade. More obvious Invictus exploits should be wiped. Yeah, but they can also go through and wipe those themselves. So has CIG officially put any has CIG officially put any books? No, there is a novella that's being written. I think it's already been written, but it's not been released yet. It's going to be released with Squadron 42. It's more that if you lack skills or without a Suli, then a slave or Suli might help you get work or contract to find your way in Banu society. They'll find a place for you in Banu society, one way or the other. I meant it that as a question, has CIG put any books? They haven't, but they are going to be putting. They have various stories. The fiction, the in-lore fiction is pretty dense. There's tons of in-lore fiction. If you liked like stories, there's a lot of stories. This is where things get confusing. So CIG doesn't do normal things like normal people do. CIG does rights. So all of their stuff is called serialized fiction. And it's effectively the stories within stories. They're basically like books being written in the verse, but they're fictional. They're not like real stories. Like typically a lore story would be written in another universe, like say Fall of Reach from Halo. That is a story that is telling the story of the Star Citizen of the Halo universe. It is canon, but none of the stories that are written in terms of like as a narrative format, novels or whatever, none of those stories in the Star Citizen universe are canon. They're all fictitious in the universe. So any of the story you read is not canon, but they are written by people in the Star Citizen universe. So, get what you can. In lore, they said once they get ground vehicles, that ground vehicles have power plants, are powered by power plant. Then vehicle teams said they'd give them fuel. You heard that? Yes, both can be true. Power plant and fuel can both be true, because one of the things they're going to be doing with power plants in the future is that power plants will require fuel to start from cold starts. And possibly need hydrogen fuel to function as well, just overall, depending on the power plant and such. I wonder if those who own a BMM will start with a higher base rep with a Banu. Probably not. Because like saying like, do you have a higher rep rate with the Banu would be like saying, do you have a higher rep rate with humanity? There's just we already have dozens of like different factions in Star Citizen for humans. It's going to get even worse. Yes, but therefore, with the implementation of server mesh, is more gained altitude from here. I guess so. We're reaching the stratosphere. We're going to see a new alien ship this week for Alien Week. We always do. I don't think CIG will not. The chances are very low that CIG doesn't sell a concept ship for aliens during Alien Week. I would like to thank you for tuning me for turning me into the lore master of my org. Thanks to GA. Thanks to Galactic Historian. You're welcome. Also, I'm sorry. CIG does CIG things, yes. I like they said that ships will overheat like while hovering and slowly go down. Yes. That'd be pay to win. What will be pay to win, Full House? Owning Banu won't mean much to the Banu. You need to establish working relationships with each Suli from scratch. Yeah, effectively. If they Suli dissolves, you need to start over. That's why the UE negotiations with the Banu Protectorate are constantly ongoing. Every couple years, the Protectorate meets because all the Sulis need. So because they're kind of a weird collectivist society, they're like a hyper-capitalist, weird. They're alien. They meet every couple of years in one planet. The Protectorate meets, and the Protectorate is effectively representatives from every Suli that exists meet together and discuss terms. And those terms are to reflect out, not inward. These are laws that are reflected to all other non-Banu. And like how do all of the Sulis, the collective Protectorate, deal with the UEE or the Vandul or Xi'an? What are their policies and how do they implement them? Tax rates, so on and so forth, so that everyone's on the same page. Now, Sulis don't have to participate in the Protectorate, but if they don't participate in the Protectorate, then they're going to be actively blocked by multiple the other Sulis from interacting with humans and Xi'an and other outside species, which is not good. So all the Banu try to participate with the Protectorate. Behold, my mightier than the last time raid. Hey, Smithy. You get a raid? I didn't see it. Thank you so much for that raid, buddy. Welcome, everybody, from Sniffy Stream. Welcome to the Office Hours. This is a live stream where I talk about the lore of Star Citizen, about the gameplay of Star Citizen, just stuff. The pay-to-win argument falls apart when ships need crews and expensive upkeep. Yeah, that's for sure. I don't know what Funhouse was, Full House was talking about, was say that that'd be pay-to-win. I don't get the reference that he was talking about. I can tell you right now, a brand new player with a Scorpius would probably get their ass kicked by a veteran with an Aurora. I've seen it happen. This game is not about having the money. It's having the money and the time. And if you have the time, then you don't need the money because you can earn money in game. It's super easy to earn money in game. I have 4 million plus UEC from mostly just events and just casual playing. And I've gotten it since the last wipe, which was the end of last year, like November of last year. And I don't play that often. People know I don't play that often. I've been wanting to play more, but things have been getting in the way. And I also play multiple accounts. I also have my Zero to Hero account, which is almost to 1 million. My Zero to Hero account has like 3 weeks of gameplay, and it's almost at 1 million. No, I meant giving rep for only having a ship, but I wasn't serious. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense anyways, because you wouldn't have rep with the Banu, because the Banu are just hundreds of different Sulis, thousands, millions of different Suli. Because Suli can be as small as 2 Banu, or as big as millions of Banu. Do you think we'll be able to use the Legionnaire against NPC cap ships like the Idris? Yes. And if so, do you think it'll create player economy of cap ships in game? Yes. Sure. It's going to be interesting to see how much things cost once they balance the books. I think they are just making it really easy for testing purposes. Yeah, but I don't think it's going to get that much different in the long run, because right now, like, food and like a t-shirt cost ridiculously expensive compared to it's like 700 UEC for a t-shirt, which is way bonkers. I think in the long run, CIG will probably tune some things around, but I doubt we're going to see much of a difference in terms of the bigger ships. By the way, Banu, in Banu, your indenture contract doesn't disappear when an SOSULI retires or dies. Your contract usually just goes on another Banu as kind of inheritance. It's taken from the language guide. Oh, That seems to be different from what we've heard from other lore sources. So that may have changed as well. Because I have seen lore sources that reference that when a Banu Esosuli dies, a new Esosuli has to be created because the Suli is dead. When an Esosuli dies, the Suli is completely dissolved, and then a new Suli has to be formed. And as a result, all of those who were indentured to that Suli don't have to get to renegotiate effectively. Late with a comment because of the morning shift. That's all right. So that one's going to have to be referenced because I think I read it in the, which is technically fictional, but I read it in the Belligerent Duck has a story, has a reference to Maz and how Maz got his freedom from his Suli. And I think that was written post language guide. Do I have some lore about the Drake Corsair? No, nothing yet. It's just a Drake Corsair. Yeah, it's outdated. I try to update it every stream, but I haven't bothered redoing it. I'll reset it to, what am I right now? 332. Set it to 330. I listened to a streamer saying that BMMs are just trade ships, but I'm pretty sure that they're also used for wars with the Banu. Can you confirm this? Yes, they're kind of a multi-purpose ship. They're trade ships, but they also have offensive and defensive capabilities, but that's very rare. You'll see Banu merchantmen used as weapon, as like the effectively Banu capital ship. Do you think we'll need a wipe for 318? Probably not, but we'll see. I love learning about the lore with video games, about video games, and your videos have been amazing. Thank you, B-Switch. Thanks for watching. Fastest way to make money in the rock and cutty and then save up for a prospector. And mod it out and rent a cargo ship. Yeah. I mean, that'll slow down a little bit here and there, but the biggest thing for me in regards to Legionnaire was the deployable, or I should say Hadrian. Why it's going to slow down is because you have to load and unload that stuff over time, and eventually you'll have to process even the hand minables. So it'll be a lot more complex. Biggest thing in regards to the Legionnaire was the deployable cover being confirmed in the boarding tube. Really cool detail. Yeah, there's going to be multiple that kind of stuff in the future. They've been working on a lot of those FPS stuff. Thank you, Moondog, for gifting that sub to Hegan. Do you find it interesting that they are looking into automating loading vehicles and stubs into your larger ships, while also angling towards manually loading your cargo with the cargo refactor? Cargo refactor is not going to have manual loading and unloading. It will simply have physicalized loading and unloading. Eventually, they will have manual loading and unloading for the cargo refactor, but it's not going to happen in 318. The way that they're going to do it is it's going to be a timer. And you'll see the stuff pop in slowly over time, likely. But you will, once it's in there, you can physically move the cargo around if you need to. But it's not going to be, that sort of thing. I have to mention Lydia after buying the prospector. They really wanted the duck skin. Yeah, that would look pretty cool. Didn't we get the UEC skin? Thanks for reminding me that I have 4K Quantanium sitting in a refinery. I need to go sell. Yeah. People like to rag on the Mezzers a lot, but they wanted to take over the Banu. It could have easily. So much for bloodthirsty tyrants, huh? Tyler, you're barking up the wrong tree constantly. Do you think the 600i, when it gets a modularity, will get a cargo module? It already has a cargo section on it, I think. Any knowledge on personal shields? Maybe the Titan suit. You're never going to get personal shields like a Halo shield, but you're going to get deployable shields for sure. And they'll likely the closest thing they'll have personal shields will probably be the Titan suit, which we don't have any information on yet. I hope they accommodate with how the BMM with dock with the flotillas. I hope so as well. Flotillas are definitely an interesting factor of the Banu culture that we haven't seen a lot of. Since the Dreadnought is featured in Squadron 42, will we see it combat in Star Citizen at some point? It depends. The Retribution is a Squadron 42 only ship, and it's hard to tell what's going to be the fate of the Retribution. If the if the Retribution survives Squadron 42, then yes, we'll see it in Star Citizen. If it doesn't, it might not. Doing the original movie shields. Yeah, you're not going to see those sort of things. Titan suit when? Squadron 42. I wonder when they will rework the Freelancer line. Probably not anytime soon. It's mostly fine. I think that the most update you're going to get is activating the cabinets and the storage facilities on it. That's about it. In lore, I saw there's a dedicated cargo module for the 600i. The 600i has a lore, or has a version of it which is just the cargo. Yeah. There's also a lore version of the 600i that's just a 600, not the 600i. The 600 was a cargo ship. I would like to see the 600i, the 600 come back as a cargo ship, because the 600i is different. I haven't got any ads watching. Are those streamer controlled? It depends. I have some control over streaming ads, over ads for streaming, and I can set like the frequency, but Twitch will almost always give you beginning and ending ads. I wonder if we'll see the Starliner sooner if the NPC tax emissions come back to the roadmap. Give me my baby back, CIG. We're not going to see the Starliner come out until after the Bandit Merchantman. And likely even longer than that. But I know it's going through its reconcept phase, I believe. Nah, freelancers don't need a gold pass. They're fine. All right, friends, I must find a snack and hit the hay. Have a good night there, Smithy. I'm actually going to have to move over to the next part because I've been streaming for 2 hours and haven't even started the, it's almost midnight here and I haven't even started the big one that I like to do. You think I'm getting like a lightsaber? No, but I hope we get something like a sword, because the Vandu will have spears. Well, we do have like the like laser edged weapon, which is like a weapon that has like a laser edge to it. What's the name of it? Like the sawtooth or something like that. I'd love to see that in a sword. Yeah, I'm going to read the monthly report. All right. It's good. All right, I'm gonna start the recording. Hello and welcome to a office hours capsule. This is a small portion, and I do mean small comparatively, of a live stream that I do every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we just kind of hang out and do an AMA. We talk about the game, we talk about Star Citizen lore, you have questions for me. It's a very casual conversation about Star Citizen. Now, every month I've been doing, since the beginning of the year just about, I've been doing a read-through of the monthly report, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be looking at the Star Citizen monthly report. If you want the Squadron 42 monthly report for May, then you're going to have to wait until next week. And I got to turn those off, because that's going to go off constantly if I don't. All I got to do. There we go. Bad chat. So, let's get started for the month of May 2022 Star Citizen Monthly Report. Beginning with AI content. Throughout May, the AI content team focused on improving the visuals of general AI locomotion. The animation director identified locomotion overlays and fidgets, animations blended with movement actions, as a vital area of improvement. So the team authored 40 new overlays, including scalp scraping, scratching, knuckle cracking, and stretching. The overlays build in the walk cycle work. The overlays build on the walk cycle work completed earlier in the year to provide more visually pleasing AI locomotion. Alongside this, AI content began using the dynamic conversion tech recently delivered by AI Tech. AI content, okay, yeah. Which allows groups of AI to spontaneously begin conversations. The aim is to have this implemented across a variety of usables. 3 use cases have been created so far: the 4-person mess hall table, the idle spot, and the arcade machine. AI Tech. AI Tech worked on spaceship functionalities, including several improvements to quantum travel and quantum boost. Now ships can accelerate while spooling before the actual jump. This functionality was also exposed as an assignment for missions. The team cleared up and activated several feature test maps on the main game dev stream. These maps were validated to ensure the team can better track features that might be impacted by the changes of different teams. For subsumption, focus was on improving the usability of editing conversations or coordinated sub-activities. The initial representation of the GUID and the super GUIDs was improved too. Okay, so AI will now spool up, will like accelerate and spool up before they go. There's also quantum boost, which is something we've heard about many times before. We don't have an understanding of it quite yet, though. Building on last month's work, feedback was addressed regarding NPCs pushing trolleys. Seriously, why? Why are we giving AIs trolleys? They're just going to kill everything. Blow up servers with them. That's going to be an old dead joke here soon. Very old dead joke. Let me actually move my camera around a little bit so you can see me a little bit better. The team now have better control over what forces are applied to the trolley by using an angular and 2 linear PID controllers. They also improved the exact positioning logic at the end of a path and added stuck detector usage. For human combat, an initial skeleton of the defend area assignment was implemented to allow designers to specify areas that NPCs can use for their behaviors. For example, guards will use this to understand which zones they should patrol. Occlusion calculation was restored to stop NPCs from ignoring hidden enemies while shooting, which will help them preserve ammunition and prevent individual targets from being overly targeted, unless the fire control is forcing the shooting. The team also improved the friendly fire validation and can now assign different factions different behaviors. This includes bad guys only trying to preserve the life of their group, while good guys also try to avoid hitting neutral factions like civilians. Several fixes, so I guess Hurston's not good guys then. Several fixes to the usable code were added, including one causing the NPCs to use usables they were not authorized to use. They also extended the usable code to allow them to set up slotting functionalities through load-out entities, allowing them to access item ports not exposed directly to the data forge. For example, setting up a Gladius as usable with varying inspection usables depending on what missiles are equipped or not. Okay. The AI Vehicles feature team completed the Flight U AI tool. This enables the developers to control and set up specific AI scenarios across various ships. They're currently porting the new dive attack maneuver to the combat pilot AI, which allows reckless and aggressive pilots fighting against capital ships to dynamically choose this maneuver when required. They also made changes to the way they apply the backwash thruster effect, as it was negatively affecting AI. Now it controls forces by the size of the ship's surfaces, so smaller ships have less of an impact on larger ships. Animation. For the PU, the facial animation team finished off performances for various in-game emotes, worked on a new mission giver, and created the facial animations for the female vendors and male and female workers. Art. Characters. Character art spent the month wrapping up Q2 assets, which included work on several armor variants. They also continued to work on Pyro Frontier outfits. Art ships. Last month, the UK team began improving the damage maps on all ships in preparation for the salvage mechanics. Development also continued on several vehicles. An unannounced ground vehicle progressed into final art and design, while a new ship entered the early gray box stage, with work on the cockpit and dashboard progressing well. Ben and Merchantman continue to move through Greybox, with May's focus on the ship's exterior art. The team are currently working on the underside and will look to and the feel of its wings. We gave AI trolleys because we like to see the world burn. Yes, you do, Jaden. Yes, you do. Because you're madmen. Madmen! The Argo SRV began production and is nearing white box complete, with the final white box review scheduled soon. In the US, the team continued building the Drake Corsair. On the interior, major passes were completed on the turret airlock and the manned turret cabin. While most of the crew quarters were finished, including the captain's quarters near the cockpit, the entire cargo hold was blocked out and the details are currently being added. The main airlock staging room on the starboard side of the ship was also completed. On the exterior, progress was made on the gray box, including the nacelles and the main retro thrusters. Development began on the landing gear for remote turrets and remote turrets too. Community. The community team had another busy month in May, with much focus directed towards supporting sentiment tracking and messaging for Invictus Launch Week and its related publishes. They published the manufacturer free flight schedule, Spectrum FAQ, before updating the Welcome Hub, Welcome Back Pilot page, and the new player comm link for those making their first visits to the Verse. Everything was compiled into the Invictus Launch Week details page. In tandem with the event, held a 6 screenshot contest and a 2952 Dunlow Derby race, in full collaboration with the racing community scr.gg. And further supported Invictus 2952 with the sentiment tracking and the server status communications. They also announced the winners of the MISC bumper sticker and the Tour of Stanton contests that began at the end of April. The team also updated the roadmap's release view to reflect the rollout of key technologies in 2022, as mentioned in the latest letter from the chairman. A few team members had the opportunity to attend BATCon, an epic community organized meetup / convention in Belgium, and meet members of the wonderful community in person again. We had an absolute blast and want to thank everyone who came out to say and said hello. It was great seeing everyone in person again, and we can't wait for Bar Citizen of the World tours this summer. Community team. They also hosted the Drake Mule and Anvil Legionnaire Q&As, giving the community the opportunity to ask the vehicle developers their most burning questions. Work also continues on the new community hub, with steps being taken to port the work from staging environment to live servers, but not the visible to non-staff. But not visible to live staff. Okay, that's interesting. So they're creating the community hub, which is new. For those of you who don't know, there's an entire part of the website which is community hub, where you can put your content, and if CIG likes it, they upvote it. Like they'll make it VIP and stuff like that. They give you a special community badge. I've got one of those because of a couple things I've worked on. The team is continuing to relay feedback to assist several. Okay, this is a huge step because it means the new community hub is actually populating with real player content. The team is continuing to relay feedback and assist the overall design to prepare for its public debut in the very near future. Looking a bit ahead, the team is in deep planning for this year's Foundation Festival, Ship Showdown, and upcoming dynamic events, and more. All right. As always, I'm going to be very clear. I am not an engine priest or an engine seer. I'm not a tech priest. I am not a Starfleet engineer. I do not know what half of the words in the engine segment of the monthly report mean. If you do, let me know in the comments below to clarify any of these situations. Hopefully this is helpful for those of you who don't have time to read, but do want to hear more about the updates. So without any further ado, let's do this. Engine. In May, the physics team added a new dynamic entity, rope entity _EX, to simulate a rope running over a pulley wheel. As an optimization, round-robin free lists were added for factories to reproduce contention when creating or destroying objects. Additionally, vehicle pad normals are now cached to speed up collision processing. On the renderer, work on the Gen 12 it's like that first part. There's rope and pulleys. Is all I got. And factories, I don't get it. On the renderer, work on the Gen 12 transition continued. APIs for transit resource sets and various transient buffer types further matured, and all relevant client code was updated to make use of them. The Gen 12 pipeline to render cube maps was enabled, and Gen 12 support for fog volumes and various other render nodes was also enabled. A new reflection buffer API was implemented, and worker contexts were established throughout the client code. Resource sets are no longer unnecessarily created, and material updates are not pushed into processing queues if there isn't anything to update. Support and debug comparison code was added for stencil state checks, skinned objects, and forward stage. Speaking of the forward stage, a lot of work went into this month, and we hope to enable it soon, engine team. Support for Eye Overlay Pass was added too. The Gen 12 port of Planet Ground Fog was completed, and Gen 12 ports of atmospheric and volumetric cloud renderings commenced. Additional improvements to planet terrain height map rendering and spherical cloud and planet terrain shadow rendering were made. On the core engine, various improvements were made to the prolifing system to better analyze fibers and their preemption, and to track collars of semaphore weights and file reads. Support to collect peaks was also added to prioritize optimization tasks. Various optimizations from recent performance captures on the PTU were implemented. Also, power scaling is now disabled for all threads. The engine spawns with normal or time-critical priority, which helps thread scheduling, main, render, physics, batch, worker, etc., and improves performance. Additionally, optimizations were made, including removing the final lock in the background job manager, checking authority requirements when activating component updates based on ECUS events, and skipping updates of hidden entities. Lastly, improvements were made to reduce the size of Windows executables and their symbol files. The remainder of the time was spent supporting bug fixing for Alpha 3.17. That was all Greek to me. Gen 12. And yeah, for reference, Gen 12 is not DirectX 12. It's just their in-house name for what they're using for the next generation rendering. They're going to be using Vulkan instead of DirectX 12. Features, Arena Commander. Alongside progressing with scanning improvements, the team fixed bugs, most notably those that have been affecting the gameplay of Arena Commander and Star Marine. Continual feedback from the community regarding these areas of the game have been hugely helpful, and it is greatly appreciated by our feature team. Improvements to the racing mode were made too, which are planned for an upcoming release. 3.17.2. There we go. Features, characters, and weapons. In May, the team continued updating the scanning feature, improving the visual effects when triggering a ping wave while on foot, and how it highlights different contacts. Interactables, items, and points of interest critical to mission progression will be highlighted too. The team is also increasing the amount of information gathered from scanned objects. For example, a door will reveal in its current state and if it can be affected by hacking. NPCs and other players will show the contents of their physical inventories, and player corpses reveal the cause of death. Hooking up the data will be quite time-consuming task as it requires a lot of data mining of different systems and their variables. Part of the work is ensuring the addition of future data will be frictionless. Feature team. The team also created a model for serializing damage maps online, which is required for salvaging. The client is able to make accurate predictions, but can also rewind and replay applications of its hits on the damage map. The server will still send the full map to a client when required, but this prediction will help keep the need to send full data to a minimum. So it looks like they're working on ping, on like hand pinging, like a FPS scanning, which is pretty good. All right. Features vehicles. The feature vehicles team spent time throughout May working on Alpha 317 and Invictus Launch Week. Outside of release support, great progress was made on Quantum Travel Boost, primarily making it feel right as the ships accelerate and attempt to maintain a heading. This feature also supports points of interest, allowing a pilot to fly towards highlighting destinations. The frig is Quantum Travel Boost? The team are continuing to update persistent tech features to use new systems in fixing problems along the way, usually connected to systems such as streaming, networking, and persistence. General balance work continued too, including a pass on general item health to stop ships from shutting down from explosions. They also continued to balance the refueling mechanic, deciding on the volume of fuel the Starfarer can carry and the sizes of ships it can refuel. The setup and balance of new ground vehicles, vehicle physics is progressing well. The team now have baseline handling and are laying out remaining dependencies to make them game ready. All right, graphics and VFX programming. Work on damage maps continued last month, with the team focusing on debris creating its own map based on the parent map. They also implemented an interface for querying damage within an area, and persistent snapshots, as well as optimizations for processing hits. For Gen 12, the team improved the viewpoint port API and continued porting region copy to pass RTT to Gen 12. RTT to Gen 12, that's good. Render to texture. They enabled more stages/systems to work with Vulkan, including material fallbacks and depth readback. Fixes were made for the tessellation output of organic shaders and planet array textures, not using texture 2D arrays. They also refactored screen capture to work with Vulkan and updated the latest SDK. Work continued improving the image tests, with CVARs being created to wait a custom number of frames before capturing to alleviate some of the timing issues seen in recent tests. They also investigated a number of performance-related issues, including a particle effect problem caused by a huge particle count and the cost of refraction resolves. A number of bugs were fixed in RTT system, render to texture, including series of asserts caused by setting a large aspect ratio to the RTTO, as well as fixes for hollow volume sorting issues in the mobiGlass. The team also continued improving shaders with experimental improvements to the hair color model of Wear version 2. Including the addition of primer/compliant in layer blend 2. Some pretty good things here with graphics and VFX programs. It sounds like they're working on new hair models, and they're also working extensively on render to texture, which is the thing that allows you to see live video of another player in game, like when you're like using mobiGlass and stuff like that. It's used for other things as well. Oh, excuse me. Lighting. Mesa, the lighting team, continued the support of the Siege of Orison mission. The playable space of the mission is massive. You can say that again, which means a lot of lighting work goes into covering the whole area to provide an interesting and unique atmosphere at night and day, while also ensuring good player visibility on objectives and AI. Lighting team. Polish and optimization were also done. The space being fully man-made exterior location means a lot of light entities and shadows must be rendered. So the team spent time ensuring performance was smooth without too much visual sacrifice. They also worked on the new derelict reclaimer locations, which involved embedding them into the planet's surface and dressing and lighting each version. Locations. Montreal. The locations team spent the month working on the Reclaimer space missions and Derelict Reclaimer settlement. They're currently polishing the bug fixing in preparation for the release, which will complete the initial proof of concept for the Derelict settlements. The next stage is to take the proof of concept and see how much more depth can be added, with variations to both environmental art and level design. They're also looking to add more module and habitation variants, more missions with different modifiers, and potentially new gameplay elements. The 600i and Mercury derelict settlement, which will be located on Daymar, progressed well throughout the month. The level design team are currently looking at what environmental art team has done in preparation for adding missions and AI. The rework of Lorville's cityscape is ongoing, with the team switching from concept to /pre-production to production. Finally, for locations, the building interiors mentioned in last month's report entered the concept phase. We're still in the early days and are discussing how best to organize the conception so that the concept art, environment art, and level design all work together in the most efficient way. We're also defining what we want to tackle in the proof of concept, and that should be our target. Everyone here is eager to tackle the challenge and find a way to add pockets of gameplay directly inside landing zones. Location team. We're almost done. Yeah, it's a shorter one this month. Narrative. Last month, Narrative continued to work on design on a handful of new missions and initiatives. These included discussing new mission archetypes and tackling the new player experience to devise a system to introduce players to the game's various mechanics. Thank God. Oh, they're finally adding an NPE. Oh, this means you won't have so many people complaining about the not being able to. That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, Chris Roberts. It's all coming together. Did we get a Squadron 42 monthly report? Yes, it is. If you sign up for the updates, you did get it. It will be released next week for everybody else. And I will be doing a read through of Squadron 42's monthly report like I'm doing this next week for whatever this is, the office hours stream. So this next Thursday, I'll go through it again. Preparations commenced for upcoming motion capture sessions scheduled for next month. This involved syncing with various teams to see if they had content ready to capture. Once complete, production began locking down dates and sourcing actors. Narrative also continued to release new lore content, starting with another Lore Makers, where the team answered community questions from Spectrum. This was followed by Homesick, a short story that originally appeared in Jump Point magazine, and Empire Report, detailing a scandal around the discovery of new life. The month ended with another batch of Galactipedia articles. QA. The Manchester-based development side of QA focused on Invictus Launch Week mission and continued to support the Alpha 317 and 317.1 releases by verifying fixes and stability issues, regressing solved issues, and supporting the development teams. Towards the end of the month, planning and testing for Alpha 317.2 and 318 began. This involved working through QA TRs for each patch's deliverables to ensure the features are tested as much as possible before being published. The Frankfurt-based QA team also tested the Siege of Origin mission and continued to support various development teams via their embedded testers. For AI, integration checks were completed for updates to existing and new features, which were then added to the main branch. They also tested AI used throughout the Siege of Origin mission. Locations QA tested the new mission location and expo halls. They also began working on more with the editor to better support the team in creating test levels with relevant systems. For the engine team, focus was on the page heap testing and locking down memory issues in game. They also continued to learn more about the flow graph and coding for future automation. Tools team continued to receive support with continued testing of DataForge, Star Words, XL Core, Copy Build, and the Sandbox Editor. Tools Montreal. In May, the integration of the Mighty Bridge into the editor was completed. They also allowed the development of the first official Mighty Bridge tool, Vegetation Scattering version 1, which will allow teams to deploy vegetation without collisions, brushes, and entities on planetary surfaces and objects. This will be especially useful for derelict settlements and outposts, but will still be used across many PU locations. The next step is to develop a tool for creating crashed ship craters and the trails on the ground, which in less time and at a higher fidelity. The procedural location creation tool is also progressing well. The foundation is now a lot stronger, and the team have begun creating basic layouts. They also moved to supporting corridors and corridor loops, as well as supporting the various required templates, space stations, caves, underground facilities, etc. The team's current goal is to get a V1 to the design and artists so that they can gather feedback to get a production ready. Tech animation. The technical animation team spent part of the month addressing small tasks that will ultimately improve the quality of life for all devs. Several of these revolve around asset pipeline in Maya, which was refactored to both consolidate multiple workflows and galvanize the core pipeline code with the knowledge gained throughout the production so far. One of the team's new initiatives is to load skin data from the engine's data files is yielding excellent results, with 1,200% speed increase in loading data. Woo! They also continued with another long-standing initiative to replace slow rigging solutions with a new plugin. This will see us redefine our workflows for creating rigs and see a much-needed improvement to character deformation throughout the game. This will take a long time to develop, but it's a worthwhile venture, technical animation. UI. May saw the UI programmers support the various PU releases by fixing bugs and adding requested features. They also refactored backend code to support the persistent tech that will come online with Alpha 3.18. VFX. May saw the VFX team complete the work for Invictus Launch Week alongside tasks for the RSI Scorpius and Drake Mule. VFX concept art began on the quantum travel rework. This included storyboarding the gameplay requirements at the different stages of the process, such as spooling up, entering, and exiting. They're currently investigating how to look in engine. And that is the monthly report. Not a ton, but it looks like we're getting the new quantum travel is being worked on. We also saw that they're working on procedural location tools for derelicts and such, so it can become more of a procedural location rather than a definite location. We also know that they're working on a new player experience, and yeah, that's good. That they're working on the derelicts, the new derelict, they call them settlements for the Reclaimer. Saw some lighting stuff, more Gen 12 stuff being added, render to texture being updated, quantum travel boost. There's also new ground vehicle stuff. A brand new hand scanner material, like our helmet scanning, whatever it's called. New stuff for Arena Commander, engine stuff. And the other big one was lots of AI stuff for various animation and AI stuff. So I would say it's a lighter monthly report than we've previously seen, but with everything we've gotten so far with the letter to chairman, it's not bad. Definitely interested in the new player experience and see where that goes. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, again, please join us live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we do these live Q&As. I'll talk with chat here for a little bit before I log out now, but hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you are watching this on YouTube, remember to like this if you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you want more content like this. And again, always keep me up to date. Do you still want me to do these sorts of read-throughs? Do you find these helpful for you? Let me know in the comments below. It helps out a lot to know where you're feeling about these sorts of things, because if I don't have to do these if you don't like them. So let me know in the comments below. And as always, remember, Ex Historia and Astra. Oh wait, and see you in the black. Shh, Xylo. Not muted. Hey, Verisalt, welcome. Thanks for that raid. Montreal team kills it with these all the time with these days. I mean, they're dedicated to the PU, so like, there's going to be a lot more. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more stuff for PU based stuff with their.
2 words. Distress bacon.
Distressed bacon.
Weapons free, y'all.
How you doing, Xylo? Yeah, I'm doing a countdown because that's what I'm using for the recording. What a weirdo. That's me. We love these, man. Now see you in the black. Yeah, there we go. Distressed bacon. Distressed bacon. Thank you for the raid there. Ferrisalt, what you up to? In Pyro, I'm guessing the QT boost is to help with the travel time because Pyro's 4 times bigger than Stanton. So yeah, without the boost, you'd be in Quantum for like 30 minutes. Just speculation. It's hard to tell what that is. But yeah, Montreal team's been doing really good work. I am interested in this new player experience mentioned by the narrative team. Office hours till the early hours. Yeah. Oof. Spent 7.5 hours flying around in World War II aircraft going pew, 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 pew. 7.5 hours in War Thunder? That's insane. No more questions, just audio clip abuse. Question. What are you expecting from Alien Week? I really don't know what we're going to see in Alien Week, to be honest. It's just, there's nothing really that stands out.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
I'm pilot.
My brain needs a reset. My brain also needs a reset. I've been, I left my home early in the afternoon to go set up for graduation because we had graduation today for my school. And I didn't get back home until 9. And I immediately jumped on the stream. It's about 6 hours of standing in the heat and dealing with kids. I mean, yeah, Xylo. Yes. I kind of like lore. Question. How are they going to fix duplicated ships? Like, are they wiping ships back with pledges, or is this safe for me to buy ships in game? You should be able to buy ships in game. I don't know that stuff. New lore, I mean. Ah. Thank you for letting me know, Xylo, to look forward to new lore. Because as of recently, we've mostly been seeing just kind of rehashes of the old First Contact weeks. So that's going to be next week, right, Xylo? Not this week. It's going to be probably at the end of next week is when Alien Week starts. Which means it'll go straight into the Bar Citizen, so I can actually meet you in person and fight you for all the teasing. But after that, okay. This First Contact Day is... I thought it was in... Well... June 6th. Unless that's been changed. The 12th is June 12th is the Bar Citizen meetup. Okay. What state I'm in? Texas. Texas. But it's supposed to be the first week of June. No, yeah, June 6th is First Contact Day. But yeah, there I'm seeing it now in my notes. June 12th is when it's celebrated. June 6th is when it actually happened. Kind of like we all celebrate July 4th, not June 30th. Because the Constitution was finalized on like the last week of June. Or not the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence was ratified. It was finalized last week of June, but it took like July 4th was when they finally officially put it out there. Yes, June 12th. Houston. Nice. Same here in Texas. Nice. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be on June 12th. So on First Contact Day, did y'all plan that, Xylo? Did y'all plan having first Alien Week start on a Sunday on that Sunday, which is also the Bar Citizen Day? Ah, gosh darn it. Hold on, I gotta take care of a bot. Oh, is this actually saying the letter? I'll have to read that. Okay, yeah. This summer perfectly coincided with the in-law holiday, First Contact Day. There we go. Yeah, so LA is happening on June 11th. Austin's happening on June 12th. Montreal is happening on June 11th. Manchester's June 11th. Oh, so they're all having the same day or the same week. Okay, the same weekend. I thought they were going to be going, because I know you all are going to like different countries. So this is just like the first part of that whole thing. America Day, July 4th. Yes. Independence Day. Yeah, opening weekend. Okay, cool. Not really. July 4th is almost exclusively an American holiday, though there are various countries in independence that have Independence Days. Like half the planet does now. I'm actually in the first time I've been able to stream only watching YouTube usually. I'll thank you coming on. Yeah, Montreal is throwing a Bar Citizen. They are having a Bar Citizen on Saturday, June 11th. It's in Montreal, 1738 Rue Saint Denis. Bistro bar offering a warm atmosphere, outdoor terrace, and menu design with local. I think I've been to Woody's before. I'm looking at the Austin one. Ooh. Ah, very good. Yeah, I think I've been to Woody's before.
Drugs.
So is there a Bar Citizen happening in the LA area? Yeah, there is. On June... let me just pull it up. Celebrating First Contact Day. My first in IRL celebration of First Contact Day. So... So LA is going to have it on Saturday, June 11th at 3 p.m. Pacific at Santa Monica Brewworks. And then Austin's having it at Woody's Tavern, which is in Bee Cave. And then L'Entrée/2. L'Entrée/2 is in Montreal. Duke's 92 in Manchester on Saturday. And Douth Schneider. Schneider? I can't do my German's terrible. Right here. This is all at the front page. Hey, Wiggles. I'm cooked.
Drugs.
They're not going to be doing a free flight, no. I'm new to Star Citizen is Alien Week, similar to Invictus, but with the alien tech emphasis. Yeah, so
Drugs.
June 6th, 20...
Good news, everyone.
Drugs.
June 6th, 2438. This is 29, I always do that. 2438 was when humans first made contact with the Banu, which was First Contact Day. And so in lore, they celebrate that as First Contact Day, and they kind of celebrate all of the first contacts with all of the different aliens, even though they were made at different times at the same time. It's kind of like how I can't think of it. There's other holidays are similar where they kind of rolled everything up into one. It's a celebration of interstellar peace. Fierce. You're an hour drive away. Yeah, I know a couple of people are coming up. It's going to be like the closest thing we're going to have to a big meetup for a while. So it's going to be the official, like, come in and hang out. So, hey, Paul, I just watched your podcast with Level Cap. I love how it was like 1 hour and 40 minutes long and it barely skimmed the surface of Star Citizen lore. All I have to say is good luck with your complete history of Star Citizen. Yeah, I'm insane. I am very much insane for wanting to do that. But thank you for watching that, Arceus. Thank you, Herodotus. Interstellar War is more fun, but a lot more painful. Is Invictus the biggest celebration of peace? If you want peace, carry a big stick. Less the SCL felt so forced. Star Citizen Live? Or the ISC, you mean? Was that the one about the ships? It felt fine to me. It's just how they talk. John Crew isn't exactly the most sociable of people. No offense, John. Claiming the Gladius isn't a meta? I don't think they said it wasn't a meta. I think they're saying that they don't want to make the Gladius a meta. I'd have to watch it again, but I think it's a misunderstanding of the context. Hey, Death Trooper. Is he a member of the Krabby Bastard Club? Probably. Last I heard, there was really not much of a meta directly for the Gladius in terms of that anyway, but We went off John Cruise 12 to 18 months for extra large capital ships we're waiting on. It's going to be at least 10 to 15 years before all current subcap ships get into the game. Yep. Been saying it for years. It takes a long time. No tickets need to show up? What do you mean? Question, will I be doing a video on this week's ISC? I never do ISC videos. I don't do summaries or anything like that. I tend to not do watch-alongs either. Because the ISCs are usually pretty short. I mean, I can give you the gist, the very easy thing for the ISC. They're going to be doing illegal missions. Legal missions are going to be run through Red Wind, and you're going to be doing the normal delivery missions, and eventually you'll be contacted to do the illegal sides of things, which will be slightly different from the current missions we have now. That's about it. There'll be a little bit more risks involved for them in the future. And then they're also going to completely overhaul the combat beacon missions, so they're no longer just... They're trying to improve them so that you're going to have larger ships you have to fight and more dynamic, and a little bit more different. That's about it, though. Any other Star Citizen creators in Texas you know of? Well, I knew of the pilot, who is now working for Star Citizen. Creators in Texas. Yeah, Burke. Captain Burks. He's from Texas. I think he's in West Texas. I don't know if Burks is showing up. Buster, yeah, Buster the Destroyer. She's from Dallas. Well, not from Dallas, but she lives in Dallas. All I can say is anybody who's looking at the meta right now, and I think that if I remember correctly, they did say this in the ISC from what I remember, was that the meta is going to change drastically as they add more functionality to the game. And one of the things that's important to remember is that fuel is going to be a pain in the ass to come by. I hear meta one more time. Meta. Especially in places like Pyro. Yeah, Space Cutlass from Ukraine. I think it's from Kyiv. Why? Why will that be a problem? Because light fighters are not designed to operate in long distances, especially things like Gladiuses. So they're going to need a dedicated carrier to be able to move around anywhere. Right now, Stanton is about 4 AU, 3 to 4 AU, which means it's a very small space in terms of gameplay. And there's tons of stations around that can support. So if you can't quite make a jump to the end of the system, you can always stop by at a station and then make your way towards the end of the system. But Pyro is 3 times as big and doesn't have nearly as many gas stations. And some of those gas stations you can't even get to because you need to have a reputation to get there in the first place. So you're dealing with 3 times the size of Stanton, plus less fuel resources. So if you're flying the best combat ship and don't have any support for it, you're flying the best combat ship for 1 engagement and then you're just dead. The fact that armor isn't even in the game yet means that the meta for combat ships is getting completely reworked. Yeah. Question. Do we get to vote for the best in show? Can we all vote for the PTV or the Drake Mule? I mean, I'm voting for... You have to nominate the ships, and they have to get a certain number of nominations before they can get in there. I'm voting for the PTV, but... I've always said that the capital and cruisers will be the most common ships in the carriers, and carriers will be prized in orgs and groups. I think the most common ships are going to be medium to large size ships. Like, the thing that people shit on the Connie all the time, but the thing that the Connie has is fuel. The Connie is likely going to be one of those ships that's going to be valuable for most players just because it has lots of distance. But to really effectively crew a Connie, you need multiple people. So, pretty simple like that. Ships with larger fuel tanks will finally have a purpose. Exactly. Things like the 300 series is going to be a lot better to fly in places like Pyro than a Hornet, because a Hornet is designed to work off a carrier. Gladius has even got less fuel capacity in comparison. So, Vanguard is definitely a bigger one. The Freelancers, the Cutlasses to a degree. The Cutlasses will be more useful than, say, a Gladius, but the problem with the Cutty is that it has beds, but no. It's really cut down in terms of its size. Yeah, the Liberator is the key. That's the way the Liberator exists. Pyro. So that the summer before the Liberator was released, the Inforunners and I sat down and did a video on why the size of scale of Star Citizen is something you need to understand. And that video spawned a discussion which spread throughout the entire Star Citizen community last summer. Was it last summer or was it 2 summers ago? I can't remember. Time is all blurring together. But it was like during the summer period. And then that IAE, I think it was last IAE. This last IAE, they released the Liberator as a concept. Why? Because it was pointing out, like, they'd already known this as a fact because they'd been looking at their scales and knew that there was going to be a need for a civilian-grade cargo ship that was just carrying ships. Thank you, Fred, for watching the lore stuff. Yeah, and the Connie has snubs, so it has some support to it. Like, people laugh at the Merlin, but the Merlin is going to be a combat multiplier when everybody else is out of fuel.
Drugs. Drugs.
My hope for best in for best in show is that CIG finally kind of breaks up the best in show into small, medium, and large ships. So the categories are individual rather than having to put all your tickets behind a meme candidate in order for it to win. Take my Bezos bucks. Oh gosh, it doesn't tell me these sorts of things. Thank you for that Twitch Prime sub, though. Sadly, we're not. Okay. You do realize that we're going to be pushing for the PTV then, right? I know your marketing guys hated when we pushed for the Argo. It's just going to happen again. Question, when do we get to vote for the best in show? Soon after the expo happens. Usually in August is when they make the dedications. New community hub is higher priority. Okay. I mean, the mule is definitely up there, but PTV is the little workhorse that could. The PTV is the Argo of Grey Cat. Oh yeah, no, there's definitely some rad contenders here for sure. Oh gosh, you gotta bring up the flaming trash can in my chat, Xylo. You gotta disrespect me with the Redeemer. Scorpius I get, but the Redeemer? Put some disrespect in my chat. A vote for the PTV is a vote for the everyday citizen. Goddamn right. I hope there'll be NPC missions to use for the Starfarer as well as a good mechanic, beacons out for player use. Yeah, I hope so. I don't know if we'll see that in 317.2. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it in 318, though. That's something that they're obviously working towards, but it really depends on how fastly they work on that stuff. No, CIG has not gifted me that Redeemer yet. Over-teamer. I guess we'll know by August what the Invictus or the Invictus what the IAE color is this year, because they change it every year. Did you actually buy the PTV with real cash or in-game only? Yes, both. Last I checked, you could. And it may not. It was available for a while. It may have been taken off the store. With the ships. Oh, Great Cat Industrial. Yeah. No, just the rock. Just the rock. No PTV. What happened with the medical bag or backpack for clothes? They're still working on that stuff. I don't think we're going to see it until 3.18 or 4.0. But yeah, they're still working on that, last I checked. Nothing was mentioned in the monthly report, though, so that's why I wouldn't think it's coming in soon. Go to standalone and type PTV. Okay. I checked Gray Cat and didn't work. No, it's not showing up on the ships. Oh, extra standalone ship, that's why. Yeah, $15. Show you all. Hey! We're coming in towards the end there, Nightcore, but thank you so much for that raid. Welcome everyone from the DJ Night stream. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub. Your Professor Galactic Historian. We're talking Star Citizen for now. How are you enjoying, buddy? Grey Cats, you say? Yes! We're talking about the Best in Show this year. It's going to be this little hard-working vehicle. I'm gonna make that happen and make the dreams come true. All right. Because I want to. Listen, the PTV has been a valuable resource. It has been great for Demolition Derby, and it has been the only way you could get through your hangar for so many times. It was the first drivable vehicle in game. Before any other ships flew, you could drive the buggy. It is literally the first Star Citizen vehicle. It deserves some respect. Exactly. Put the respect on the name. It's earned that vote. It earns that vote. Wouldn't it be a murder trolley? What was the first flyable ship? The Hornet. You could drive it around your hangar. Exactly. It's the very first drivable vehicle, flyable vehicle. Now, it was the first ship that was flyable was the Hornet, and then after the Hornet was the Aurora 300i. Yeah, the Aurora and the 300i. And then they shortly after that made it the variants for all of them. PTV versus Carrick. Mule versus Odyssey. We'll see. I think the Mule's got some chance because it's cute. Voting for the PTV is like voting for a pair of sneakers. You're goddamn right. We all love our sneakers, don't we? How close am I to the 15K followers? 15K followers on Twitch. I'm at 14,893. So I've got a little over 100 before, yeah, a little over 100, like 108 followers for Twitch. So slowly but surely, I should be able to make it before before the end of the year. But I always grow slower on YouTube, on Twitch than I do on YouTube. We get a follow command for DJ Nat. I don't know if we already did that. I'm sure my mods are already on top of that. Fair assault. And thank you for that tier 1 sub for 35 months there, DJ. I didn't see that as well. Let's get some in there. Thank you, Q-Ben. J Doos, thank you so much for that Twitch Prime sub. An org support member, how do you think the Kraken will fare in Pyro? Just your opinion. As an org support, oh, it'd be great. It's the Kraken's designed for, baby. It's designed to be a backline support vessel. I think it'll shine in places like Pyro. That's what it's designed for. Question: do you think 317.2 will go? When do you think 317.2 will go to PTU? I think July. I think we still got maybe about a month, maybe a little bit longer. I think it'll probably go into Evocati towards the end of June. I wouldn't expect 317.2 to come out until mid-July. And I think shortly after that, we'll see 318 go into Evocati. Questions, predictions for Aliens Week. I've said this before, and I don't think I've ever fully answered it, but my best prediction is something Banu related. Banu merchantman's already being worked on. The things we lacked are like professional ships for aliens. So things like maybe a Banu miner or a Banu salvager or a Banu miner / salvager. I'd love to see like a Xi'an refinery ship as well. Something to compete with the Expanse, but we'll see. Which also fits in with the lore a little bit because CTR, which is one of the most popular and cheapest brands of fuel that you can get in the verse, is owned and operated by the Xi'an. And so it makes sense for that brand to have its own, the Xi'an to have like fuel haulers for that. Howdy, folks. Just got to anything, missing anything good? Good. Yeah, we went through the entirety of the monthly report. We talked a little bit about what to expect with 317.2 and just hanging out. Want to see a mining alien ship? Yeah. Oh, lordy. I think look who's turning tired. I think I'm going to call it a night. I've been streaming for enough and I got to go to bed, get up early-ish. But thank you all for joining us here today at the office hours at the Astropub. If you enjoyed yourself, hit that follow button, because I'll be back tomorrow for 0 to Hero. First time back in 0 to Hero in a long time. So if you want to see me play an account that just has an Aurora, and that's it, just an Aurora, come back and join us live at 9 p.m. Eastern. Twitch.tv/theastropub, and I'm gonna try to do a stream to there, and then also have that VOD pushed to my VODs channel on YouTube. I also am going to be releasing the version or the capsule on Saturday. So if you missed my read through of the monthly report, you can check it out on Saturday. And on Saturday itself, we're also going to have a live stream. I'm gonna have to talk with because right now right, who is scheduled right now is Auralia, will be coming onto the show on Saturday. But I got to talk with her because I know she's moving and other things are going on, so we'll figure this out. So hopefully I can get her on. If I can, then it'll be Saturday. Then Sunday we'll have probably a bar stream. What I do, first time in a long time doing a bar stream, where I'll just set up the bar and have people come in and just enjoy the booze if they need to. And then next Monday will be the first painting stream where I'm going to paint live on Twitch or live on YouTube. The JRDF Freelancer. 500 scale. Do hardcore mode, no ship. I don't want to mine, otherwise I would. I am going to eventually do a hardcore mode where I do no ship, but that's going to be a while. Base Lancer, where's the max at? I'm going to buy the max here in a bit. I got to buy the max, and I also got to buy I think the Cutlass Red is the other one that's open. But they're just talking about possibly releasing the 890 jump, so we'll see. Hey, Dojin. All right, let's find someone to raid. We'll find someone to raid, then we'll log off. You're on Twitch. Oh gosh, I'm top streamer. I just hate being top streamer when I do. All right, you know what?
Weapons free, y'all.
I'm gonna raid Toast.
I like money.
Toast is a good dude who is not. I like his content. Toast is a very good content creator, and I've watched him secretly for a long time. Go say hi to Toast for me. All right, Toast FPS is a really cool dude. Love you all. Like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.